buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show, hosted by Dan Patrick and joined by the four Danettes.
Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, and McLevin.
People sometimes ask me, how would you describe the Danettes?
The meanest Danette, Paulie.
And I struggle because, well, they're complex human beings with layers.
I really love my grandma.
But every so often, something happens that perfectly sums up an individual.
Case in point.
When I was 8 years old pitching in Little League, the other team from the third base dugout was screaming and yelling, "We want a pitcher, not a Billy Itch," and all the things to try to distract me. And it was my first year in Little League, and I didn't realize that that's something that you can do. And it was really bothering me. I'm walking guys, I'm losing focus. I call timeout, so I wave the home plate up. He meets me between the catcher and the mound, and I go, "Yeah, I'm trying to pitch here, and the other team is screaming and yelling at me. Can you make them stop?"
Oh. Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hope you had a great weekend, everybody. Gang's all here, ready to go on this Monday. Got some breaking news with college football to bring to your attention. It's been a wild 24 hours for college football. Some of the headlines here: the Mid-American Conference has decided that they're not going to play fall football. Big Ten and the Pac-12 are on the fence right now. The ACC and the SEC and the Big 12 might try to cobble together a schedule involving those conferences. But once again, I'll have that information for you coming up in a moment. Colin Morikawa, who will join us on the program, I believe tomorrow, won the PGA Championship. Final games of the NBA regular season and some interesting conversations involving the Portland Trail Blazers, the Clippers, and the Lakers. We'll dive into those topics coming up in a little bit. We'll have a poll question for you. We got a play of the day, stat of the day, and you can dive in if you want. Variety of ways. You can tweet us at Dan Patrick Show. You can email dp at Dan Patrick Show. And also 877-3DP Show. Say good morning to Chat Row, those watching on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. And our radio affiliates around the country, numbering 362. Here's the information I got almost an hour ago. The Big Ten and Pac-12 will cancel their football seasons tomorrow. The ACC and the Big 12 are on the fence. The SEC is trying to get a delay to have teams join them. The SEC is looking at exclusive TV contracts. So once again, then I followed up with my source and I said, so the Big Ten and Pac-12 canceled tomorrow. That's what I'm told this morning. 3 Big Ten teams that I've spoken with said it's done. And I followed up by saying, so the SEC might go alone and bring in other schools. That's the latest. They're trying to buy time, according to my source, to see if the ACC or Big 12 will go along with them. So that's the information I've got this morning. And I was in touch with my source over the weekend, that the commissioners met last night. And, as of yesterday, last night at 7 o'clock, the Big Ten may pull the plug tomorrow morning. I even had my source telling me on some of the votes, the Big Ten presidents, 12-2 not to play. Pac-12 doesn't want to be the first to cancel. Oklahoma and Texas are fighting the rest of the Big 12 to try to salvage the season. Mid-American Conference dropped the football season in the fall. They don't have the money to test. Safety a big issue, but the money was the impetus. Northern Illinois was pulling out, and that led the charge in the Mid-American Conference. So there's a lot going on. It could still change. My source said, hey, everything is on the table right now. It is the wild, wild west. But the latest is that the Big Ten and Pac-12 will cancel tomorrow. ACC, Big 12 on the fence. The SEC is trying to get a delay to have teams join them. The SEC is looking at exclusive TV contracts. So we'll talk to Pat Forty, who covers college football. He'll join us on loan from Sports Illustrated. But this is hour to hour. It is fluid. You got players who want to play, and Trevor Lawrence is out there, saying, hey, we want to play. You got a lot of people who are involved in this. Politics is playing a role in this. Certain states, certain conferences, commissioners. What's the NCAA do? It's all on the table. But as I get more information, I'll let you know. But that's the latest as of 9:05 Eastern this morning. This program is brought to you by Raycon. Raycon wireless earbuds, the way to go. Get 15% off your Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. And I'm sure once this information gets out, you'll probably have one or two of these conferences refuting what I'm saying here. But nobody's ready to announce anything yet. This is what I'm told that the announcement will be with Pac-12 Big Ten. It's scheduled to be tomorrow morning. But I was told this, and this was really important. Nobody wants to be the first of the Big Five conferences to tap out first. That the Pac-12 is probably going to be that conference, but it feels like the Big Ten is going to take the initiative here. And then you're going to have the Big 12. You got Oklahoma and Texas saying to these other schools, we want to play, we need you to play here. And I don't know where those votes are. I just know it was overwhelming that the Big Ten, with their presidents, they were not going to play football. 12-2. That was the vote total. Pac-12 wants to do the same, just didn't want to be the first to do it. Big Ten could do it and wouldn't take as much, receive as much criticism or blowback as the Pac-12 would, from what I'm told. But the SEC, with what's going on, trying to see what they can salvage here. And maybe you have a college football season. Maybe it's the SEC, and it's only the SEC. But, and I didn't get this answer yet from my source, and maybe Pat Forty can tell me, is what changed? You had conference schedules that went out last week. We had the ACC and then the SEC. We had the Big Ten. I don't know what happened in the span of 5 days. So in the span of 5 days, something happened, something changed. Because the Big Ten put out their schedule 5 days ago. So now all of a sudden I got 12-2 vote that the Big Ten's not going to play football. Now, remember when Connecticut canceled their fall program, football program? And I said, well, there's a couple things there. They're an independent. They were losing some games on their schedule. It's not a big revenue producing. Now, all of a sudden, and we wondered if other schools, conferences would follow suit. And from what I'm told, what happened with Connecticut would not impact the Power 5 conferences because they do have the money for testing. They do have the safety precautions and guidelines that would be in place here. So that's what's confusing. It feels like there were, for some of these bigger schools, the opportunity to stay safer being on campus, getting tested, actually being part of the football program. I don't know what happened in 5 days, but something did. And I said this last week. It felt like some people were in denial. If we have football, great. All for it. Want it. Need it. It certainly makes my job easier. But it felt like we were in denial of trying to pull this off. My source said, the NFL is going to happen. The NFL will start the season. He said, I don't know if they'll finish the season, but they will start the season. He said, you can guarantee that. But college football, he said, it just, there's too many moving parts. The NFL might be like Major League Baseball. I mean, Major League Baseball is somehow going to get through this. But it's going to be a mess. Because they had another rough week. The Cardinals, when are they going to, how are they going to get all these games in? Do you realize the Miami Marlins are going to play 15 games in 11 days and 4 doubleheaders? And they're bringing people off the street right now. How are you going to, the pitching staff's here. There's somehow, as I told you from the beginning, all they wanted to do is get to the postseason. That's it. That's all they want to do. Get to the postseason. Just saw this from Tom Pelissero, his tweet on the NFL draft. Tom works for the NFL Network. If college football moves to the spring, what happens to the draft scheduled for April 29th through May 1st in Cleveland? The collective bargaining agreement says each draft shall be held no later than June 1st. So any delay beyond that would require approval by the players' union. I'm told even spring football is a dream right now. And I don't know, are we going to have a vaccine? Like, what would be different in the spring that we don't have now? That's what I was told. Once again, it's a lot to take in, and it was a lot for me to take in an hour ago, and then all of a sudden you're going, okay, Big Ten, Pac-12, cancel tomorrow, ACC, Big 12 on the fence. SEC is trying to see if they can pick off some of these schools and see if they want to join them. Now, can you get – I don't know that the two schools in the Big Ten – I have an idea that they probably said that they wanted to play football.
Do these two schools hate each other?
I don't know. I'm not sure because, look, Wisconsin's big revenue producing. Penn State, big revenue. Obviously, Ohio State. Then you have Michigan State. But I can ask my source if, can you tell me the two schools or the two presidents that said, no, we want to play in the Big Ten. But if you can get Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12 and they're going to join you in the SEC, you got a super conference. But this year is going to change the NCAA. It is. It will change. We're going to eventually redefine the NCAA in a lot of different categories here. Can you get unions here? What about pay? You had the Pac-12 commissioner, Larry Scott, who said this is a PR move by these players in the Pac-12, and he doesn't want to address it anymore. So things are changing. Seismic shifts here. But college football, as we know it, is not going to play this fall. You might have conferences, and you go back to when we had the commissioner of the SEC on, and we've had him on a couple of times, Greg Sankey, and I said, can we see a scenario where the SEC just plays SEC football and that's it? And he didn't want to go down that road, but I'm told that's what the SEC looks at themselves as, they're different. They're different than any other school, any other conference. And they're approaching it that way. Would I be surprised if we had SEC football and maybe a couple of outliers there? No. But I do think these other conferences are probably going to close up shop here. And I want to caution you once again, and this is what my source said. This can change. That can change because everything has been changing in the span of 24, 48, 72 hours. Nobody's going to make an announcement today, and I'm sure that people in these local markets are going to be calling their athletic directors or their coaches and trying to get them on record to say, hey, Dan Patrick is saying this. My source is telling me right now this is what's happening in those conferences. And this is going to be a long day with college football because you're going to have a lot of people trying to make a decision, and they might not be ready to make that decision. Now you have to. All right, 877-3DP Show, email address dp@danpatrick.com, Twitter handle @DP Show. I told the Danettes, I said, I don't know if this news is going to last till the top of the hour when we start the show, but I got some information for you here. So you guys are just hearing it for the first time. And I know we have questions. We talked about this pre-show where what changed from last week to this week, other than now we're getting closer that, students are going back to school. You have the risk and the reward here. There's liability. Liability is the key word that I heard over the weekend. Liability. If, the students go back, they get sick, or they're asymptomatic, they come home, somebody else gets sick. What if a coach gets sick? Just the liability here and the risk and the reward. But it's a big deal. It is a big deal. And you had all these commissioners who had an emergency meeting on Sunday. So those are the things that were discussed. Yeah, Paul.
I'm most curious, other than college football, is the NFL having meetings this morning, making plans for the fall if there's no college football? Saturday becomes wide open. Primetime Saturday night becomes wide open for them. Are they going to say, let's get a national TV schedule for Saturdays and get it in place in case college football taps out?
I don't know how that works with the collective bargaining agreement. That it feels like they've modified all summer long here. That why not throw an addendum in there, a clause in there? But when could you play Saturday football games, and how does that affect work week? And I don't know.
A lot of money there.
Oh, absolutely.
2 more national a national primetime game on
Yeah.
Saturday and a national game, even if you just did 2 games on Saturday.
Absolutely. No, I get it. And with the NFL, I'm certain, the benevolent, philanthropic, altruistic NFL would go, well, all right, we're going to help out the college football fans who don't have something to watch, so we're going to play a couple NFL games on Saturday. Maybe ABC wants to pony up $1 billion, and that would be nice. I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Yes, Todd.
I think that's something that can totally happen. And I would love to see Saturday and Sunday games.
Thank you, Todd. McLovin, you got a poll question for me today.
Yes. One college football question. I don't know if you want to get the audience's viewpoint on this. Do you think they should have a college football season? How do you think the audience would vote?
Well, we want it to happen. I mean, that's why when I hear, some of these analysts or hosts saying that there are people in the media rooting against this, I'm not. I don't want to be, I'm not that insecure that I want to be the guy who says, I told you so. I would love to be told over and over and over that I was wrong about this because it makes my job harder. College football is fun. Love it. I watch Maction. I watch Tuesday night or Wednesday games. I watch the WAC, the MAC, the SAC, whatever it is. I don't even know if there is a SAC.
Sure there is.
But I'm watching it. SWAC. I'm watching the SWAC, the MAC, and the WAC. Something like that. But I'm not rooting against it. Yes.
Did we get the commissioner of the SAC on?
Yeah.
Today, have we called for him?
Yeah, he's hard to get.
Yeah.
He is a little tough to reach.
Yeah. He's nuts. What? Yeah, I want football. Love football. Not rooting against. It's not like, oh my gosh, I need my ego stroked just so I can say, I told you so. God, I hope I'm wrong. I didn't think the NBA was going to happen. It's here. And I've heard from friends saying, yeah, I thought you said it wasn't going to happen. Absolutely. I said baseball would start. I didn't think baseball would finish. Maybe it will. But just understand, my opinions are facts. They're based in getting information from somebody. It's not where I go, I'm hearing. I'm thinking this might happen. I don't do that to you. I'm giving you information that I get. I take no pride, no glee in going, hey, I'm hearing the Pac-12 and Big Ten are going to shut down football this season. None. Don't need a scoop. Don't need my name in headlines with it. But for this audience, I'm true to you in what I tell you. But I don't take any joy whatsoever saying, boy, can't wait to tell them and break the news here. I'm not Woj or Jay Glazer, Adam Schefter. That's not my job. But when we have it, hopefully we present it to you in a professional way. If I get more information, I'll tell you. I'll update you on it. But I trust my sources. They've given me great information, the last decade. And I trust them in this situation as well. Yes, Paulie?
By the way, the SAC is real, Dan. Don't sleep on the SAC. The South Athletic Conference, Catawba, Carson Newman, Lenore Ryan, Limestone amongst the luminaries in that. They're based in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The South Athletic Conference. Remember the Catawba Claw, Dan? You remember?
Oh, yeah. I have a jersey. I have somebody sent me one of their jerseys. All right, let me take a break here. Did Lance Allworth go to Catawba?
Wasn't he? No.
He went to Arkansas. I think Lance Allworth.
Bucky Pope was a Catawba Claw.
Bucky Pope.
Yes, the Catawba Claw. He's a wide receiver.
SAC legend.
SAC legend. Bucky Pope.
If you criticize him, you know what it is, Todd?
They're getting a little testy.
Sacrilegious.
Oh,
You both nailed that one.
Religious.
Wow, that was a real duel right
They're
there.
getting some
I don't know.
angry emails. They are getting a little testy. Stop making fun of the side. I'm just saying.
Okay.
We can make anything into groin humor.
I start out with college football. Is the curtain's coming down on college football. All right, let me take a break here. Is Pat Forty joining us?
He's joining us next. But that's a good poll question. Sacrilegious or testy?
Okay. Tell 40 what my information is, just so he's not surprised when he joins us here. It's 20 after the hour. We're just getting started here on this Monday. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Hiring is challenging, especially with everything else that you have to consider today. But there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, it's fast, it's smart, a place where businesses can connect with qualified candidates. It's ZipRecruiter, ziprecruiter.com/Patrick. You're looking for that special person, but how do you talk to that person? A Zoom call? ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job sites, but they don't stop there. They're so good at their powerful matching technology. They scan thousands of resumes. They're trying to find the right person with the right experience for the right job. ZipRecruiter makes the entire hiring process efficient and effective and has features like screening questions to filter candidates and an all-in-one dashboard where you can review and rate your candidates. ZipRecruiter is so effective. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Right now, try ZipRecruiter for free. My listeners can go to ziprecruiter.com/Patrick. That's ziprecruiter.com/Patrick. ZipRecruiter.com/Patrick. The smartest way to hire. He's always been one of our favorite guests, certainly at the Super Bowl, because he always has great stories. You got to love that smile. And we make way for the Hall of Famer, the playmaker, Michael Irvin, who joins us on loan from NFL Network.
What is this, man?
Got Paulie.
I know who he is.
I got a little surprise,
I can't even
though.
say hi to the dead end.
No, you can now. You can say hello to McLovin and Fritzy.
What's up, guys? I can't look.
No,
over
you
there.
can look. You can look.
I can look now.
Look.
Okay, I can look. Oh, that's a. Hey, well, I'm gonna tell you something. Dad, well, I was worried when I saw your green room, but this is a bounce back right here, and that right there. That means you got the top set. This is the top set, man. That's sweet right there, buddy.
I have a street artist who did all of our work in our man cave, and we wanted to do some of the iconic sports figures in Miami history. And
that'll fit perfectly on my wall at home.
Every year we love you coming by, and I figured if you were the first one that we were going to put up with the U, it's a beautiful painting of you. And yeah, so every day we're going to do a different sports icon that is Miami related. So we think of you with the U before Dallas Cowboys.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate it. So you got somebody doing one of these every day?
Yeah, he's doing one now.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
man, I thought I was going to be the only one.
Well. Damn.
Well, you could have kept that information. Just let me think I was the only one.
Yeah, but I was gonna put other names in there like Dan Marino.
After I leave, well, we didn't tell Michael, but we have other people too.
Well, wait, but if I include you with Dan Marino, Don Shula, Pat Riley, Dwayne Wade.
You're right. I can't take that because
that's pretty good.
Dan Marino, I always say he's the only guy in my man cave. Because everybody in my man cave has a ring. He's the only guy without a ring. That's how great Dan Marino is to me. So yeah.
Wait, you have jerseys in your man cave? I
got pictures, jerseys.
Oh, okay.
Like Bird and Magic going at it. Jordan coming down the lane and all of that. Then I have on the walls, determination, fight, all of the things that it takes to be one of the greats, and all the things that those guys have displayed.
Do you have room in your house for that?
Oh, absolutely. In my house in Dallas? Yeah. Now, I don't know about my houses here, my homes here.
Wait, houses?
Yeah, I own about 3 summer homes here. But since I'm the 15th of 17 kids, I own 3 summer homes. I just got some of my family members living in all of them that they will not leave. And I try to explain to them, I said, listen, I bought another summer home. They said, oh, we can just stay in it while you're gone. I said, no, this is a summer home. That means nobody's in. And then they come and they never leave. They never leave,
Okay.
man. It's just.
This program brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. It's the all-new GT 4-door coupe because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews this week or any week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, just go to danpatrick.com. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance. We'll head inside the bubble coming up next hour. By the way, Colin Morikawa won the PGA Championship at the ripe old age of 23. Will join us on the program tomorrow. Reggie Miller will also join us as well. I mentioned that 10 of the 12 presidents in the Big Ten, from my source, voted 12 of 14, voted not to, they don't want to have a fall football season. So 12 of 14 don't want to have a fall football season. And we were speculating who would be the 2 that did want to have a football season. Those schools, those presidents were pushing for. We want to go around and guess here. The 2 schools, 2 presidents, then we'll get to Pat 40 here. Paulie, I'll start with you.
I'm absolutely sure of one of them. I would bet a week's pay. Nebraska is one of the 2 teams that voted to play this year. The other one, I got to go to Ohio State.
All right. You got 1 of 2. McLevin, you want to jump in and try to find the other one?
Well, I kind of thought Ohio State and Michigan just because of the rivalry.
Nope. Todd?
Ohio State and Michigan State.
Nope. Seton O'Connor.
Iowa?
Iowa is the other one.
Nice.
Nebraska and Iowa were the 2 that I'm told their presidents were pushing to play. Once again, this can all change. I want to make sure that I put that out there. It can all change because it has all changed here in the last 5 to 7 days here. Let's bring in Pat 40, Sports Illustrated senior writer here. You're usually the one, the bearer of bad news, but I beat you to the punch here 15 minutes ago here, Pat. So just to recap, we got the Big Ten and Pac-12. They are scheduled to cancel fall sports coming up tomorrow. You have the Big 12 and you have the ACC on the fence. And the SEC is looking at TV contracts, see if they can maybe bring in some schools. So what has happened? What has changed since last week here?
Well, a few things changed. I mean, only in college sports, Dan, is it possible that you're releasing schedules all last week, getting people excited, and then on Saturday morning, basically Northern Illinois goes into a meeting in the Mid-American Conference and says, we're not playing. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, if you're not going to play, maybe we shouldn't play. And then the Mid-American Conference, the number 9 or 10 conference in the nation, says we're not going to play. And everybody else is like, oh, I guess we're not going to play either. It's unbelievable that this could happen in the space of a weekend. Now, I think the Big Ten was tracking that way all along, or certainly for the last week. Even before that, Kevin Warren, the commissioner, has been the most cautious and guarded of all the Power 5 commissioners talking about the season. I think the winds were blowing that way strongly. During the week, the Mid-American Conference probably stuck a finger in the air and said, if the Big Ten's going, well, we're probably going to go first.
Yeah, it felt like that you got the commissioners together, that they wanted to be all in on this and not have, an outlier. And the SEC may be that outlier, but we thought that was a possibility anyway the last couple of months here. I know that the Pac-12 didn't want to be the first to announce this, and I think the Big Ten was maybe going to take that preemptive strike and say, all right, will be the ones to announce it, and then the Pac-12. I don't know what happens with the ACC and the Big 12, but could you see where the SEC goes alone and says, we're going to play X number of games here and have a conference champion, and we'll have a mythical national champion?
I think it'd be highly improbable. We reported last night and really over the weekend that by the end of this week, everybody will be out.
Okay.
And there will be no fall football. I think that I think the Big 12 is closer to going the way of the Big 10 and Pac-12 than most people think. The ACC is more closely in line with where the SEC is, but I think ultimately they all realize we're not going to play. There may still be some people pushing for it in the SEC, but here's why you can't really be the outlier and go it alone. First of all, if all the other conferences with all of their medical experts and all their presidents say, we don't think it is safe for the players, is the SEC supposed to say, we really don't care whether it's safe for the players, we're going because we like football? I don't think that's going to happen. And the other thing is, a lot of the state schools in that league have pushed really hard at the presidential level to enhance the academic profiles of their schools, specifically Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and South Carolina. They want out-of-state tuition dollars by making the school a better place. If you say, we're a football power and we want to play football and we don't care about the pandemic, that's not going to help you at admissions time.
How does this affect these players who would be eligible for the NFL draft? If you think about it, these one-year wonders that we've had recently, Dwayne Haskins, where would Joe Burrow be? Kyler Murray, these guys who, and I'm talking about just quarterbacks, but there are a lot of positions here. There are a lot of players who came out of nowhere. Joe Burrow was a fifth-round draft pick. And then he had the magical season and is the number one pick overall. Dwayne Haskins comes out of nowhere. Kyler Murray out of baseball. What do they do?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough for those guys. You feel bad. Look, I feel bad for all the players, and it's been amazing to watch, Trevor Lawrence basically unionized college football at midnight last night. These guys, they want to play. A lot of them do. And yeah, for the established stars who aren't going to play because there's no way they're playing in the spring, to the up and coming guys, to the hidden gems that you were talking about, this takes away a big opportunity for them. And yeah, you can try to play in the spring. Sure. And some guys would be happy to play and try to help improve their stock then. But it puts a major crimp in the entire trickle down of football, from the NFL through college to high school recruiting. Everything is on hold and up in the air.
What do you think happens today?
I don't know whether if the Big Ten will wait until tomorrow on this. There's a scheduled meeting for Pac-12 presidents tomorrow, or if something happens today. I'm not sure. I would expect, as you obviously said, those two are going to be probably first. I do think the Big Ten was trying to get everybody on the same page, since everybody was mad at the Big Ten in July for preempting everyone on the schedule. They were all supposed to be on the same page then. But I think the other conferences, too, are going to be right there behind them as far as the group of five leagues. Today, here's what I think. Today, the players will continue to make a social media push to try to make their voices heard, to say, hey, let's reconsider. And good for them, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I was told liability. That was the key word, that liability with these universities, and if something happens and, what it would cost them. The risk and the reward, the risk isn't worth the reward. But can you make a case, though, Pat, that at these Power 5 conferences who do have the money to test and unlike the Mid-American Conference, that they are safer on campus than maybe they would be if they were at home and, socializing?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. The players will probably stay on campus. Unless these campuses are going to close down to students. Most of them are having students on campus. Not all of them, but most of them. So, I don't anticipate the Ohio State team and the Michigan team going home, per se. I think they will stay there unless they want to opt out and work out for the draft. So, I think you'll stay there and you'll still be in a situation where you're probably getting routine testing and you're working out there and they're trying to make things as safe as possible. I think another big factor, Dan, is worry about heart conditions. There has been a few players here and there who have said, hey, my heart is not right. There have been doctors who have said some players have had enlarged hearts, myocarditis, and that really got the attention of the presidents. My colleague Ross Dellinger did a good story on that, just that you start talking to presidents about unknown long-term heart damage, and to your point of liability, do you want to be on the hook if you got 5 players with heart damage?
Yeah, you bring that up, and I was told that they're seeing players, if they may be asymptomatic, but a couple of weeks after the fact, they're starting to see some issues with their hearts with some of these players. Granted, it might be a small sample here, but these are things that, a university is liable, and they realize this, that just, what would happen with lawsuits here if something happened. So I think that's why they're, I think they were in denial for a long time. And I just think that now as we get closer to classes starting and kids coming on campus, the reality hit home.
Yeah, no, they pushed the decision so far down the road as far as they could.
Yeah.
And we're in denial, like, hey, we can pull this off, can't we? Sure we can. Let's put on a show. And, the closer you get to it, the more there's just too many problems facing it. And now, we'll see if they can get together and come up with a plan for the spring. There's no good spring options, but is there a spring option that's close enough to good that you can do? Or have they just been sitting there with wishful thinking about the fall and not even thought about the spring yet?
Yeah. If you could interview one person on the record involved in all of this, who would you want to interview? Coach, player?
I think I would interview probably Gene Smith at Ohio State, the athletic director there, because they're the flagship program of that conference. And I think he's a smart man, and they've got a great season ahead, but they're putting on the brakes on this. And I want to know what exactly are the concerns from a health standpoint that have made you want to stop an incredibly good season at a place that cares incredibly much about college football.
Yeah, that's the surprising element here. When I told you that there were 2 schools in the Big Ten that were pushing to play, you probably would have thought Ohio State for sure. And now I find out that it's Nebraska and it's Iowa. Does that surprise you at all?
Nebraska doesn't surprise me at all. The second one, from inklings I had gotten, it wasn't going to be Ohio State. I thought maybe Purdue because Mitch Daniels, the president there, former governor of Indiana, has been pretty bullish on trying to let's reopen, let's normalize. So I wouldn't have guessed Iowa, but Nebraska, yeah.
Good to talk to you again, Pat. Thanks for joining us as always. Great work over the weekend.
Thank you. Optimism 2021.
Pat Forty, Sports Illustrated senior writer. Yeah, Sports Illustrated did a great job over the weekend with some of their information as well following that. We got a poll question, McLevin?
I'm going to put up, if you're okay with it, do you think they should have a season? I know everyone wants one. It sounds like we're not going to have one, but do you think that they should? Is everyone going to just say yes because it's wishful thinking?
Probably so. I mean, I would hope they had a football season. I was just, I was stuck in reality here where I just said, I just don't see it happening. And, so Pat was backing up what I said. Northern Illinois said to everybody else in the Mid-American Conference, the other presidents, hey, we're not playing. And that's when the Mid-American Conference goes, then we're not playing as a conference. It would have looked really bad if Northern Illinois, and maybe Northern Illinois, started the avalanche here, because then it's the Mid-American Conference. Now, granted, I was told they don't have the money. It's not a revenue-producing, sport the way it is in the Power 5 conferences, but it's still a very respectable conference. And when they decided that they weren't going to do this, then you start to look around, and these commissioners and these presidents, the athletic directors, then you know what the optics are going to be. Oh, wait, they care about their students and student athletes, but you don't, because that's the way it's going to be portrayed. That'll be the spin on this. All right, let me take a break. We got a lot of phone calls, as we always do every Monday, best and worst of the weekend, what you saw that you like, what you didn't like, your chance to be a part of the program. We'll take a break here. Back after this on the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan, there is nothing I love more than coming in on a Monday and having a video waiting for me where a bunch of people are struggling through something and we could make fun of it and poke fun of it and act like we would do a better job. I don't think there's anything that starts my week off better. And if you add some Benny Hill music to it, what a great start to a rough week. Roll out the tarp. Oh, someone didn't roll it up the right way.
Oh, that's the worst.
And then
That's why you got to roll
stepping on it. All right, they're adjusting.
Oh dear.
All right, well,
Oh, no.
they've committed.
Oh, no.
It's better if letting the field get wet at this point.
Oh, look how wet they're getting.
Yeah, they're digging in, man. I've never seen.
What did that cost?
The guy, like, yeah, him pointing backward is so funny.
I've never seen so many angry people in cargo shorts in my life.
What a disaster.
Oh, my God. The field's getting destroyed.
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Just caught a rain out of it.
So, the problem is, you ever had something go wrong and you want to blame it on somebody, but the only one to blame is yourself?
Yeah.
Those are the same guys who rolled the tarp up the last time,
Right.
I would think, unless
There's like different crews,
Yeah,
and they're like, oh man, the weekday guys really screwed this one up.
right.
Like different shifts or something.
Yeah.
Or they had to roll out the tarp day for kids who had A's or perfect attendance.
Right, yeah.
It's a great way to
That's
start.
the best
That's
part.
it,
The guy he points his way in that way is the best.
Because that's going to fix it.
Their outfits add to it. They're so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think they're still in the celebratory mode, though, after winning the World Series. So maybe that's what happened. The last time they did this, they got a little liquored up and
Good
said,
point.
hey, let's go
Fair.
roll out the tarp.
Good point.
With the style that you play, that you have employed in all your stops here, was that European based at all? Like, how did you come up with this style of offense?
Well, not really in the sense that I played in the 70s back in the NBA, ABA, and that's kind of how you played without the three-point line, obviously, without the four being able to space it. Players progressed, and it was just a natural evolution of changing things up a little bit. But, when I was in Europe and coaching, they claimed I was playing too much like the Americans and just hoisting stuff up. And then when I came here, I was like the Europeans. So it is basically growing up in West Virginia, and we ran and gunned, and Marshall, we did the same thing. ABA, we did the same thing. MBA, I didn't invent anything at all. Just the players evolved to where it made sense to take more threes or to be able to spread the floor, and then they changed the rules where you couldn't hand check, so now you can't hardly guard on the perimeter. So if you can't guard on the perimeter, why would you go inside so much and have people beat you up? It started not making sense anyway, not to play the way that most of the leagues play now.
What is the philosophy for somebody who may not be familiar with your coaching style? How would you do it in the Cliff Notes version?
Well, we just try to get layups, foul shots, and threes. And everybody knows there's in-between games, and it's not always going to be pure. But our offense is set up that those are the three things we want. We try to maximize the spacing and the speed of the game to get us to the rim or threes or layups. Now, every player has their own unique abilities, and we try to adjust a little bit. But I'm not going to set up my offense to where a guy's going to come off for a two-point mid-range shot. It just doesn't make any sense to us. It will happen some, but it doesn't make any sense to me. That's the worst shot in basketball, so why would you actively seek it out?
my God.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it!
They're going to play it and play it. This is the play of the day.
Check this out.
Top Tracer, powered by Top Golf.
Well, it looks like a wow.
Forward, not ready. It's brilliant, Nick. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That is what we've been waiting for. 23 years of age. And perhaps just hit the shot of his life.
Colin Morikawa joins us on the program tomorrow. The par 4 16th had an eagle and his first major championship. He went the weekend going 65 and 64. That's the lowest closing 36-hole total by any golfer in a major in history. That's your play of the day. Play of the day brought to you by my favorite wireless earbuds. They're called Raycon. Get 15% off your Raycon order. Buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. I've played that course before, and it, of course, chewed me up and spit me out. But those guys, you see what golf has become. It's certainly on that course, it's just about you got to hit it at least 300 yards. But they try to punish you by having, the rough a little bit higher, and then they tighten the fairways there. That's the only way you're going to salvage some of these great golf courses around the world, is you got to make them tighter, and you got to really penalize if you miss the fairway. Brooks Koepka, our boy, got roughed up yesterday. He was talking a good game on Saturday. He got humbled yesterday because he was saying, I'm basically the guy to beat here. And he beat himself. Still love, I think Brooks is great for the game. I love that there's a little bit of friction there. He's not afraid to push a button or two, but he got humbled. And golf will humble you in an instant. All right, let's take a break. Oh, no. How about we take a break from that to then go to phone calls is what I meant. I'm ready to go to commercial break here. No, I looked at the time and I'm like,
you're shot out of a cannon, man.
I know I am. I'm a little fired up today. Probably because of all this bad news, breaking news with college football here. Mark in Florida leads us off. Hi, Mark. What do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan. 5'10", 150. So best of the weekend is the Oakland A's and Houston Astros fight. And worst of the weekend is my Pelicans getting eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, I was disappointed in Lonzo Ball. He was really subpar in the bubble. And, Zion's got something to work on here. They do have a nucleus there. But Lonzo Ball's got to be a whole lot better. And I really thought that we were starting to see the true promise of Lonzo Ball. I know it's a small sample size, but, man, was he disappointing in the bubble. And now it looks like you're going to have your play-in game. I don't know who's going to make it. Is Memphis going to hold on and maybe be part of the play-in game? I saw where the Clippers want the Lakers to face the Blazers. I don't know. Are they manipulating the schedule here of who plays and who doesn't play here? But I know that they want the Blazers to face the Lakers because the Clippers reportedly think the Blazers can beat the Lakers here. Yes, McLovin.
A lot of overreactions to the 8-game bubble regular season out there. That's all I'm saying.
What do you mean?
I'm saying people are reading a lot into these stat lines as if the Lakers and Clippers are trying. Lakers are 2-4, and everyone's like, "Oh, sky is falling." And the Luka scores 50 points a game, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at him dominating." I'm just saying that the good teams are resting their players. I think that's an underrated aspect of this.
So wait a minute. Is this a knock on my boy Luka or on other guys who are putting up big numbers in the bubble?
Well, I'm just saying the Bucks played the Mavs, and the Mavs won, and Luka all of a sudden became one of the top 10 players of all time.
Did the Greek Freak play in that game?
He did, but he played 12 less minutes than Luka.
Okay.
And also everyone's saying like, "Oh, LeBron is not trying." Wait till LeBron turns it on in a week. This doesn't mean anything.
When the Clippers struggle, it's not headline worthy. When the Lakers struggle, oh my gosh, that this is the end of the world for the Lakers.
Clippers lost to the Nets last night.
Oh, I know.
Nobody cares.
I know. But if the Lakers had lost to the Nets, oh my God. According to Joe Varden of The Athletic, Clippers players actively want the Lakers to have to face Portland in the first round. They believe the Blazers could actually beat the Lakers. the Clippers could have helped increase the likelihood of such a scenario Saturday had they lost to Portland, but they ultimately won a game that led to some serious bad blood. Yeah, Dame Lillard, who had an unbelievable game yesterday. What did he put up, 51, McLovin?
Oh, on a Sixers team without Simmons and without Embiid, he was beating up like G League players, and they still almost lost.
Okay. You didn't learn your lesson when I said stay away from Luka. You're not going to win that argument.
You know, I gave up on the Luka argument this weekend, but I'm back in. It's all big fake numbers.
Who? Okay.
He was like 37, 19, and 15 the other day. That can't be realistic. Nobody's.
Well, he had 30-something and 20 rebounds and 12 assists, too. It's not like it's a one-off here.
I know. It's unbelievable.
You got to stop. You just free your mind. The rest will follow, McLovin.
Well, I do have a great poll question for you later on Luka.
Okay. Let me get a couple more phone calls in here. I would have thought after he had back-to-back, and I'm not even going to fight you on it. I'm not going to fight you on it. You'd actually take Zion over Luka.
I'm off that bandwagon.
Zion's biggest competition is going to be his body. That's going to be his biggest competition. Can he stay out in front of it? Can he be healthy enough? Can he be explosive? I watched highlights of him at Duke, and just on offense, because he doesn't play any defense. He doesn't, like, he just sort of floats out there. He doesn't play any defense whatsoever. But when he runs the break, then I just wanted to see what he looked like at Duke, and there is a big difference. No pun intended. There's a big difference in how he is right now with the Pelicans and how he was at Duke. Yeah, McLovin.
Occasionally, he'll block a shot into like the 8th row. It's on that Duke highlight reel.
Well, yeah. In college, he was doing that.
Oh, there's no defense, right? But does Luka play defense? He might. I have no idea.
Wait, I'm just saying that he doesn't play any defense. So it's not like he's expending any energy on the defensive end, and it doesn't look like he has that much energy on the offense.
But he's still scoring at a crazy clip per minute. Zion, I don't know how.
But Luka's putting up 19 assists. The Greek Freak had 1.
It's getting harder and harder to be on that anti-Luka bandwagon.
And I know that people get sensitive with the Larry Bird comparison. But he's better than Larry Bird right now, but he's only 21. Bird didn't get into the league till he's 23, I think.
But Larry's like 60 right now. That's not a fair comparison.
Oh, I see what you did, McLovin. Yeah. Although Larry's probably still a better shooter than Luka right now. I will give you that. But Luka is doing things that Larry never did. Now, that doesn't mean, is Luka going to be like, when Larry was 30, Larry was better than LeBron James at 30. I mean, Larry just was. And then LeBron didn't start elevating past Larry Bird until, 3 years ago maybe, on people's all-time list? Yeah, Paul.
At the age Luka is now, Larry was a junior at Indiana State with one more year to go, averaging 30, 12, and 4.
Yeah. 30, 12, and 4. Luka's doing 29, 11, and 9 now in the NBA at 21. I know it's blasphemous to say it, and I know it's generational. The game is different now, but Luka is a better offensive basketball player than Bird right now. He is. I don't know what he's going to be like in 4 years, 5 years. He's going to be even better than what we see, which would be scary. And Bird, I love. Bird was fabulous. But Luka's putting up incredible assist totals. So it's different. Larry was a point forward. Luka he's a point guard. Yeah, McLovin.
The game is spaced differently now, though. Bird might thrive a little more in this wide open game.
Oh, he'd be taking, 8 to 10 threes a game, maybe even more than that. At least I'd want him to. Still want the ball in his hands, game on the line. Absolutely. We'll go inside the bubble. Chris Haynes will join us. Always love talking to Chris. Find out, is the sky falling with the Lakers here? And the bad blood between the Blazers and Clippers. I love it.
2 questions about the Danettes.
Okay.
Number 1, who is the Baba Booey of this group?
Baba Booey.
Nobody answers. Okay. Fritzy, is that you? No.
I may be in there because
Okay.
doesn't he book the guests and stuff like that?
All right.
From that
So when you
standpoint.
guys decide that.
Yeah, Fritzy probably would be Baba Booey from the Howard Stern show.
And you as the boss.
Yeah.
What would you do if these guys wanted to unionize? That seems to be the deal these days, right, guys?
This day in sports history, Paulie.
We love you, Mr. Michaels.
I knew I shouldn't have had Al stay longer. Oh, by the way, Lynn Swan.
Al, don't wait for that miracle.
What is it? I see a sign. There's a sign back there. AFL-CIO.
Yeah, I really do believe in miracles.
Al, don't wait for that miracle.
Do you believe in miracles? No. Lynn Swan is going to join us in studio tomorrow.
Swanee, my old partner.
And Willie McGinnis will stop by the man cave. This day in sports history.
All right, quickly, 1993, Nolan Ryan got his 324th and final victory. And this day in Al Michaels history, 2 years ago at Toscana, he had the 26-ounce prime T-bone steak, the Fiorentina. Is that correct, Al?
That would be correct.
Yep.
Right, and a few potatoes on the side.
Just
That's
a
not
courtesy.
a vegetable, it's starch.
Yep.
And probably started with some pasta vajol.
That's correct. We confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
This day in sports history brought to you by Continental Tire. They want you to arrive to the game safely, so they can remind you to take 5 minutes at the beginning of every month to check your tire pressure. You can learn more about the great products at ContinentalTire.com. Did you ever work on your voice?
Not really. You know, when I was a kid and I wanted to do this, and I'm announcing sports on the campus station at Arizona State, I hated my voice.
But are you better now? Is your voice better now?
I'm older, so it sounds deeper. I mean, my wife will watch something that I did 35 years ago and will say, that's not even you. And it doesn't sound like me to me, but it was me. And then, you get older. And, I smoked for a while, too. But that's 30 years ago. So maybe that had something to do with it. I was able to survive that nonsense.
Because people will ask, well, how do you get your voice? And I go, I never thought of it.
No, neither did I. And I used to worry about it. You wanted to have a deeper, bassier voice when you were a kid. I sounded like a kid when I was doing the games at Arizona State. And so I would have yearned for a better, deeper voice, but it just comes along naturally.
Best voice belongs to who?
The best voice?
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
Okay, announcer. Okay, all right, you got me on that.
Okay. Sarah Vaughan.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Broken Hearted Melody. Now we're aging ourselves, aren't we?
Harry Callis.
Harry Callis preceded me as the voice of the Hawaii Islanders in the 60s. Believe it or not. Yes, he did. Harry Callis.
Nice. 6 degrees of separation here with...
right. Harry did. I mean, there's some great voices. I mean, Ray Scott had a tremendous voice.
I loved Ray Scott.
Right. Kurt Gowdy. That sounded like sports.
Yes.
I loved Kurt Gowdy.
Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Like you hear a voice, and that's what's great.
Howard Cosell reporting from the Dan Patrick Show. Hard by the Rich Eisen Studios here in El Segundo, where the buzz around the office is the boys are trying to hire Jimmy Hoffa IV.
What did you learn today, Todd?
McLovin thinks the Wolverine should try to trademark of as in the University of Michigan.
McLovin, what'd you learn?
Al Michaels has some great advice for the Danettes. It's time to fight the power.
Paulie.
We're bringing in Al Michaels as our union delegate.
And Seton O'Connor.
Shop steward, Paul Pabst.
What did I learn?
We're all trying to figure out what the inverted yield curve might be.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show, hosted by Dan Patrick and joined by the four Danettes.
Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, and McLovin.
People sometimes ask me, how would you describe the Danettes?
The meanest Danette, Paulie.
And I struggle because, well, they're complex human beings with layers.
I really love my grandma.
But every so often, something happens that perfectly sums up an individual.
Case in point.
When I was 8 years old pitching in Little League, the other team from the third base dugout was screaming and yelling, we want a pitcher, not a billy itch, and all the things to try to distract me. And it was my first year in Little League, and I didn't realize that that's something that you can do. And it was really bothering me. I'm walking guys, I'm losing focus. I call timeout, so I wave the home plate umpire meets me between the catcher and the mound, and I go, yeah, I'm trying to pitch here, and the other team is screaming and yelling at me. Can you make them stop?
Oh. Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Hour 2 on this Monday, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show, a fast and furious first hour here on the program. Let me recap just so you know where I'm getting my information from or what my information is, and it has to do with college football. This is a great college football source, and I was in touch with him last night because we were starting to hear that the Power 5 conferences, the presidents were getting together, commissioners getting together, and they were going to decide on the college football season. My source says commissioners met tonight. They're the only ones who can alter things. Spring football is not the answer. The virus isn't going away. How could a school play basketball, hockey, swimming, soccer, football, volleyball in one semester? Then my source this morning, just after 8 a.m. East Coast time, Big Ten, Pac-12 will cancel tomorrow. ACC, Big 12 on the fence. SEC trying to get a delay and have teams join them. The SEC is looking at exclusive TV contracts to see if maybe they could get the ACC and or Big 12 to join them. My source said 3 Big Ten teams I've spoken with said it's done tomorrow. And then I said, would the SEC go alone? And my source said, that's the latest. They're trying to buy time and see if the ACC or Big 12 will go along with them. And I wanted to know, the Big Ten, their presidents voted, not athletic directors. And two of the presidents wanted to play in the Big Ten. And I said, probably not going to be the schools that you thought would be the ones leading the charge. Nebraska and Iowa were the 2 schools I was told their presidents wanted to play football. I hate being the bearer of bad news here, but I'm just giving you the information. I want college football. I've had people tweet here. This is a sample. Why don't you guys have Joel Klatt on to balance out Pat Forty? Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated joined us last hour. You want to be unbiased, go get a viewpoint from why college football can happen. If the presidents don't think this can happen, I don't care what Joel Klatt has to say. I'd have Joel on. Great football analyst there. Look, we want this to happen. That doesn't mean it happens. I'm not rooting against college football. So Pat Forty didn't come on and say, hey, I'm only going to come on if I can be negative. I am unbiased. I would have Joel Klatt on, but what's he going to tell me? Hey, we should have football. Great. I want to have an athletic director. I want to have a coach on. I'd like to have Scott Frost from Nebraska on. Scott, if you're listening, I'd like to have you on. Can we pull this off? Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, Coach Saban, Coach Sweeney. Have them on. We've reached out, Trevor Lawrence. We'd love to know how we can pull this off. But understand, this isn't my agenda here. I don't have anything attached to this other than I have a source who told me what the information is. Use it however you want to. But don't paint me as somebody who is against college football. As I've said before, why would I root against something that makes my job tougher? If there's no college football, that takes away a large portion of what we talk about on this program. And watching. Personally. Love it. Any night of the week. I'm watching. I watch the noon games on Saturday. That'll tell you how much I love college football. Usually Maryland playing against Rutgers. But I'm not rooting against this. I know Joel Klatt said many in the college football media have worked hard to push panic and fear. See many prominent players push back tonight. Good for them. Hey, take charge. I'm not pushing panic and fear. Joel, I am pushing reality. Not that you've singled me out here. You said the college football media. I'm not pushing any fear or panic. I am dealing with just the reality of what is happening right in front of us. This is hour to hour, folks. Can it all change? And I said that from the beginning of the show. Yes, it can change. But I don't know what has changed in a week that got us to this point. Big Ten had its schedule 5 days ago. Big Ten put out its schedule. I went, okay. ACC, SEC put out their schedule. Okay. What changed? Nothing. Except for we're probably not having football this fall. So I don't know. I'd love to hear from an athletic director or president or coach because I think the reality set in. I think coaches were in denial of trying to pull this off. That's all. But in no way am I rooting against this. And Fritzy, if you want to reach out to Joel Klatt, I mean, if Joel can advance this and tell me, okay, how do you pull this off? Just because you say, hey, prominent players push back tonight, good for them, great. All for Trevor Lawrence leading the charge. Trevor Lawrence, a couple of days ago, said he thought about sitting out, opting out, not playing. So he had doubts. I don't know what's changed. I'd love to hear that. Can we pull it off? All ears. And if we got information to bring you, happy to bring. I would love to have led the show with this information. We're going to have college football. It's going to start. And 5 days ago, I led with the Big Ten releasing its conference schedule. So I'm looking at this, and I want to be positive with it. And then people have said, well, you were negative with the NBA. I didn't think they could pull it off. I don't think baseball can pull this off. They started, they're going to stumble all the way to the playoffs, and that's all they want to do. The NFL's going to start on time. I don't know if they finish, but they start on time. And there's no, weaponizing this. We're past that. I told you. I just deal with the reality of what this is, what's in front of me, not who's involved in it, behind the scenes. People, the politics involved in it. I don't play that game. I don't want to because it's a winless battle and it's worthless as far as the time spent on that. Nobody's convincing somebody to change their thoughts on this. But when it comes to the virus, I'm just dealing with this as you are. As a parent with 4 kids, as a parent who has one more child going back to college here on Thursday. I'm dealing with the same things you are. All we're trying to do is get answers and understand this. But if you want to continue to badger on Twitter and say that I'm not being unbiased here, go ahead, because I can't help you. You already have your mind made up. But if we can get college football, even if it's the SEC, I'd be great. Mid-American Conference canceled. Why? For 2 reasons. Northern Illinois said, we're not playing. And the Mid-American Conference goes, wow, we'll look bad if we're playing and they're not. They shut it down. Also, I'm told they didn't have the money for testing. Big 5 conferences, you have the money. And if you can do it, then great. I hope you can pull it off. I mean, we've gone from, remember Tennessee? Tennessee was going to have 100,000 fans at their football games. I said, I'll take the under. Yes, he.
Where's the NCAA in all this?
Yeah.
I mean, they're oddly quiet.
Oh, you're being serious.
I mean,
yeah.
How does the NCAA even survive this as an organization?
I don't think they do.
I mean, it should just be disbanded or whatever.
I think they're the artist formerly known as the NCAA, where you just go, guys, are you involved in this at all? And they're not. It's the Power 5 conferences. The commissioners, presidents, athletic directors. Yes,
You really do get the sense that college sports is going to look drastically different in the next year or two.
Yeah, I agree. They are. A couple of phone calls here. Poll question, McLovin. What do you have?
Do you think they should have a college football season this year? As you, no surprise, 81% say yes. I mean, I guess that's not really a fair question because that's really asking, do you want a college football season?
Yeah.
We all want it.
Yes. Yeah, I want it to happen. I'm just being realistic about this. If you can pull it off, great. I was front and center and say, you know what? I misjudged what the NBA was able to pull off here. Baseball has done a horrible job. You know, I don't know how many games. Can you say you must play a minimum of 45 games this year? Because you're not going to play 60. The fact that, and I just saw this, and I think it's true, that the Miami Marlins are going to play 15 games in 11 days with 4 doubleheaders. Okay. If you can do it, and I don't know who they're getting on their pitching staff. Like, they're bringing guys off the street. I think they just signed a guy who was a speed skater in Sochi in the Olympics. I'm being serious, which sounds like a really neat story. He's now on the Marlins roster. They're bringing in guys just to fill up the roster here. The Cardinals situation, and then it's not fair to the teams that have quarantined, that have been good. And then you have that idiot bench coach with the Astros who starts chirping at one of the Oakland A's players who got hit a couple of times in the series over the weekend. You know the name of the bench coach there with the Astros? Do you have
Cintron, right? Alex Cintron, I think.
Yeah. I would suspend him the rest of the season because you are told not to incite anything. You're not supposed to have anything with bench clearing. And you're a coach. You should be stopping things. And then he's going to chirp, and then he's going to hide behind his players. And then you have bench clearing. I would sit him down. You know, the player, Joe Kelly, got 8 games there. But I don't want to lose a player for the season. And you know, the player for the Oakland A's, he had a legitimate beef. He had been hit a couple of times in the series and thought maybe they were throwing at him. And then you have this bench coach who's chirping there, and then they all bench is clear here. I'd sit him down. I would say, you know what? This is how serious we are with this nonsense. You, see ya. Go home. Yeah, see.
Yeah, because as you know, if you're a player, you get you understand the idea of competition, and it gets heated, and then you start fighting. That happens. It's totally reasonable. But if you're a bench coach, how do you? What the hell are you doing?
I would have been on the phone. If I'm the commissioner, I would have been on the phone. I would have called the dugout, and I would have said, "Oh, yo, Holmes, see ya. See ya." Yes, Paulie.
Or the bench coach should have to fight the player. You can't start a fight and then run behind 3 players. You're a bench coach. You're wearing basically sweatpants. You got to go back out there, and if he wants to go back, he's got to fight the player.
All right, let's get some phone calls in here. Rick in Virginia joins us. Rick, good morning. Best and worst of the weekend.
Good morning, Dan. The best is this kid, Andre Jimenez, for the Mets. He played second last night, went 3 for 4. I think he's batting like 340. He's 21.
Nice.
He got his first hit last week and then got picked off. And I said, this guy's going to be a great Met. And I'm a diehard Mets fan. Anyhow, he got to baseball. The worst is a funny worst. I'm listening to Howie Rose and Wayne Randazzo, and Wayne gets a tweet saying they're listening in the UK. And then about a little bit later, Howie says, hey, they're listening in North Korea also, and London. And Wayne says, I don't think they're listening in North Korea. And he was just reading off the I don't know what they do. I don't have TV or anything. I listen to satellite radio. And he came back a little while later and said, I got another tweet. And he was having fun with himself. And the guy tweets in, hey, we're listening in Long Island because we can't book a flight to North Korea. And it was just good, clean fun. See if you guys can pull it up. But, hey, have a good day, and thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Yes, he.
That's baffled.
He was on a roll. I didn't want to
We're getting a lot of those lately.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you.
It's like a stream of consciousness from somebody else's show.
I think, that we're quarantined or, we've been in our house and we just want somebody to talk to. Our wives are tired of listening to us, so we're like, hey, come here. Like, Fritzy's like that every day. But, you get the feeling with some of our callers are like, hey, I just want somebody to listen to this story. Yeah, Paul.
I have a theory that maybe our call screening line is getting crossed with another show. We're getting callers who are listening to an entirely different type of sports show. Or
It's like Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
Is still somehow. Remember that show? Is all
Art
like
Bell?
conspiracy theories and stuff?
Yeah, someone's listening to Art Bell.
Are you blaming Marvin the Prince that he's not doing a great job screening calls?
Back to you, Dan.
All right. So the Mets starting lineup on Friday night prior to the game against Miami was sponsored. So, you always have that. They're trying to throw in any kind of sponsorship. And the New York Mets starting lineup Friday night was a New York area party planning company. And the name of the company is Send in the Clowns. Like, you can't make that up. And tonight's starting lineup, New York Mets, sponsored by Send in the Clowns. No, that's the name of the company, not the lineup here. Send in the Clowns. By the way, Miami Marlins 4, Send in the Clowns 3 on Friday night. Oh, man. I'm looking at the Marlins roster here. They played only 10 games. They have used a total of 45 different players. No other team has used as many as 40 players. And I started to look at the roster. They have a guy named Morin, M-O-R-A-N, another guy named Morin, M-O-R-I-N. 2 pitchers are named Josh Smith, and a former Olympic medalist in speed skating. There's your Miami Marlins. Yes, Todd.
That would be infielder Eddie Alvarez that you're referring to.
Eduardo Alvarez. Yes. Jesse in Los Angeles is back. Hi, Jess. What do you have for me?
Hey, good morning, Dan Stradamus.
How are you, bub?
Hey, it was about 2 months ago after his playoff hole loss at Berger that you put myself and Dan Nation on notice about Colin Morikawa, and yesterday you guys did it, so congrats on the Wanamaker Trophy.
Yep.
I have a best and the best here, if that's okay.
Okay.
Hearing you guys on Friday was my best. The podcast, the last 15 minutes of the show, you guys cracking up and roasting the old J.J. Watt good-ass dudes clip. It was spectacular. And then
Paulie, did you hear from J.J. Watt this weekend?
It's going to be a quiet fall from J.J.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Continue, Jess.
My best, I assume you haven't seen it because of all the things going on, but it's worth a look if you haven't. Leo Messi's goal versus Napoli in the Champions League. It was through 3 defenders, falling down, bending it past the goalkeeper. Unbelievable.
Yep.
That's all. Have a great one, guys.
Thank you, Jess. I watched it twice. They didn't have a great angle other than one that from afar with Messi. But he falls down, and then he's almost falling down again, and then left-footed, and I don't even know how he saw that. I go back to a conversation I had with Pete Sampras, one of the great tennis players of all time. And I said, how would you do against Roger Federer? And he said, he sees shot like I would never even think of the shot. He sees the shot and plays a shot. Like the creative minds that you have with today's athletes, that they'll see something, you go, how did you see that? And that's what I immediately thought of when I saw Messi. Like, I don't see any opening there with the goalkeeper, and he somehow squeezed it in. Yeah, see.
I saw somebody once talking about how to describe how Messi is great, and they said, like, if you look at it, somebody like Neymar, right? Neymar is a magician. He does all of this crazy footwork, and he's got these insane skills, right? But Messi just does simple things great. He doesn't do all of these crazy fancy tricks, but he just has a simple way of being great, and it's just simple touches. It's really remarkable.
Well, when we had Landon Donovan on, and I just said, explain his greatness, and I think it's hard for them to describe it because you're looking at it and you're going, okay, it doesn't look special, but it is special. You know, a lot of these guys, it's about look at me, how I do something. Messi, he's not impressive size-wise, probably speed-wise, strength-wise. You just look at it, and it's like Gretzky. Gretzky was somebody that you just couldn't explain to somebody. And Messi is probably a reincarnation of Gretzky with his ability to just do things where you go, wow, that seemed pretty simple. And it's not. We'll check in with our good buddy Chris Haynes, Yahoo Sports TNT sideline reporter. He'll join us from the bubble. More phone calls coming up as well. And I got my phone with me today, so if I have anything else from my college football source, I'll let you know. It's fluid right now. It's hour to hour. Maybe we get good news. Maybe the Big Ten, Pac-12 reconsider, and they do have football. I'm hopeful, but right now it doesn't feel that way. So we'll come back. We'll talk to Chris Haynes. You know, when the Clippers lose, it's not a big deal. Clippers lost to the Nets. When the Lakers lose, it's a big deal. We'll talk to Chris about that. And also this little feud going on between Damian Lillard and the Clippers. I love it. So a few things to talk to Chris about and more phone calls as well. 21 after the hour, this is the Dan Patrick Show. Oh, LifeLock. You need LifeLock because these are crazy times. You have fraudsters trying to capitalize these days. They send messages through social media and emails. They're trying to get you to fall for a scam that uses Cash App. The messages offer free money via the app to help them through a difficult time. I've received these before. The link in the message is fraudulent and malicious and could steal money and personal information. It's important to understand how cybercrime and identity theft are affecting our lives. Every day we put our information at risk on the internet. We don't even know we're doing it. You can miss certain identity threats by just monitoring your credit. That's why it's a great thing that there's LifeLock. They detect a wide range of identity threats, like your social security number for sale on the dark web. You have access to a dedicated restoration specialist to your case should you become a victim. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. LifeLock sees threats you might miss on your own. Join now. Save up to 25% off your first year. Promo code Patrick, 1-800-LifeLock or lifelock.com. Promo code Patrick for up to 25% off. LeBron has never really gotten the credit that he deserves. I know that may sound like a hot take, but I still think we have looked at LeBron for all the things that he doesn't do or didn't do or couldn't do on the floor instead of celebrating what he was able to do. We didn't do that with Magic, didn't do that with Larry, didn't do that with Mike, but with LeBron, I think he's the first true superstar that we really looked at through a negative lens. A lot of people did, and I don't know why. You went to Miami.
I think a lot of probably people assume too much too soon. You know, the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 16, 17, or 18, something like that, and the chosen one, and that probably rubbed people the wrong way when you still had the players you just mentioned still in the game, like Michael Jordan, and I think Magic was just retiring, and so people are like, the chosen one, what about the other guys?
Yeah, the king.
The king,
yeah.
That probably rubbed people the wrong way. But I do agree with you because I don't know if I could put him on my Mount Rushmore, but he's knocking on the door, right? I mean, he's probably, you and I have had this conversation about the best small forward of all time. It was hard for me to relinquish Larry Bird. It's hard for me. But it's hard for me not to put LeBron ahead of him. It really is.
Well, Bird at his best, to me, was better than LeBron at his best. And once again, these aren't for hot takes because I don't do that. I'm not here to troll.
I know.
But when Bird averaged 30, 10, and 10, like his best season was better than LeBron's best season. And Bird was winning championships as well.
Here's the thing. I don't think Bird. First of all, Bird never made it to 17 years.
No.
And Bird wouldn't be able to do, even in Bird's last year, which I think it was 12 or 13 years, he wasn't playing like how LeBron is playing right now in his 17th year.
Oh no, but Bird had a bad back for probably the latter half of his career, last 4 years of his career.
Don't you have to factor that in a little bit?
Oh no, he's not better than LeBron. I'm saying Bird at his best is better than LeBron at his best. He's a better shooter. He's a better passer. He's a better rebounder.
That's my guy. You know how much I love Larry Legend, Larry Joe.
Yeah.
It's just, you're talking about the best small forward of all time.
Yeah, I'll give that to LeBron, but not if I take LeBron's best year and Larry's best year, I'll take Larry over him. And imagine if you had today's three-point philosophy.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
So he's better at his best than LeBron is, but LeBron is going to be considered a greater player. And I have no problem with that. Not at all. I mentioned the Oakland A's, Houston Astros had that bench clearing incident. Houston pitching had hit 4 batters in 12 games prior to their series in Oakland. In 3 games in Oakland, the Astros hit 5 batters. So I know that they're feeling picked on here. The last 5 games, they've lost all 5, outscored 32-16, batting average under 200, and the team ERA is over 6. Nobody's going to have any sympathy for the Astros. And that bench coach, I'd sit him down and not let him coach the rest of this season after inciting, the bench clearing incident there with the Oakland A's. The player is going to be suspended as well from Oakland, but a coach should not be inciting something there. You're supposed to stop fights. Chris Haynes, he's a peacemaker. Yahoo's senior NBA insider, working with NBA on TNT as a sideline reporter and host of Posted Up with Chris Haynes, the podcast. Covered the Blazers' loss to the Clippers. Pacers win over the Lakers on Saturday, and you got the Blazers-Mavs tomorrow on TNT. How's morale inside the bubble, Chris?
Well, I think it's depending on who you talk to, Dan. Some teams are, mathematically eliminated, and they're eager to get off campus as soon as that last game concludes. So for them, they're ecstatic.
What kind of gossip you got going on down there? Not just basketball-wise. What are you hearing? What's the word on the street?
Gossip, DP. What you looking for, DP?
I don't know. I'm just, I just kind of curious here. You're a man about town. You got your ear to the ground there.
I do. I do have my ear to the ground. Sometimes my ear goes in places it shouldn't go, DP. But I'll say this, DP. Overall, the guys are doing an unbelievable job with social distancing and staying in their rooms and not bringing any, company in the room, and they're following orders and protocols from what I can see, DP. So I'll leave it at that.
Is there recruiting going on? Do you think a super team emerges from the bubble next year? That one day we'll look back on the bubble and these players will say, yeah, we all got together and that's how we came up with this idea.
I think it's inevitable. I don't know if a super team will be formed from this, but I think it's inevitable that recruiting is going on. And I'm not saying recruiting, I've seen it, but I remember the first few days I was here when I was one of the lone reporters here on campus, and Donovan Mitchell and Kyle Kuzma were walking around together looking for food, and they actually came into the dining area, which I was eating. And I just saw, I just found that fascinating. And, those guys, they're close. I believe the same draft. And I just found it fascinating. But that was just the first time I seen guys intermingling with other guys on other teams. And so, no, I think it's inevitable that there will be recruiting taking place here. Super team, I don't know if super team, but no, for sure. Everybody's congregating. It's bound to happen.
I mentioned that when the Lakers lose, it's headlines. When the Clippers lose, it's not. When the Bucks lose, like it's not headline worthy. But with the Lakers, they ended up losing. They've lost a few in a row here. Their offense is supposed to be suspect here. Are there real concerns about the Lakers as they go into the playoffs?
No, I think there's valid concerns. I mean, they're trying to put in incorporate a few more pieces into the fold. They're trying to get Deion Waiters in, J.R. Smith. Obviously they're without Rajon Rondo, and their offense I believe is still last during this bubble right now. And so they were one of the hottest teams before this hiatus. So there's definitely concern going into the playoffs.
But if you start to look at, the Clippers lost last night to the Nets. Now, I don't know if they cared about winning that game. Like, do we ignore that the Clippers lost to the Nets last night?
Nah, because look at what Doc did in that game against the Portland Trailblazers. He sat Paul George. He sat his main guys in the fourth quarter of the game. And so there are people who think that they're trying to make sure LA has a tough out in that first round because they were basically looked like they were trying to give Portland that game. And that's the game that, ended up starting a little verbal feud with Damian Lillard, Paul George, and Patrick Beverley. And Dame missed two free throws towards the end of the game, and they lost. And so Clippers, they're fine with where they're at. And I think for the most part, we understand, how the Clippers do about resting guys and doing the load management. So their losses aren't criticized more so than the Lakers because it's the Lakers and LeBron and those guys. They tend to play every game.
Explain to me this feud with Damian Lillard and Patrick Beverley and Paul George.
Well, look, man. I will say this about Patrick Beverley. I'll say this about Patrick Beverley. I believe before this bubble started, he said that Damian Lillard was the toughest player for him to guard. So there's respect there. Like, I didn't expect, the antics Patrick Beverley did, like, that's expected. That's what he does. Paul George, on the other hand, look, I was at this NBA 2K release party last summer, and Dame was there, KD was there, Paul George came later. And so I'm talking with Dame and KD. And then Paul George starts to come over. And so I automatically look at Dame. And Dame spots him, but that was it. But I bring that up because that was the first time Dame has saw Paul George or spoke to Paul George since Paul George got bounced in the first round by, that shot from Dame. And Paul at that time said, I believe it was like a lucky shot.
Yeah.
That was a lucky shot he shot. And so Dame sees Paul for the first time. Paul comes over, and I'm watching. I'm watching like I want to see this. I knew they haven't spoken and talked before. So Paul comes over, and Dame, they talk, and Paul was like, "Hey, bro, my bad, man. Like, my bad. I was in my feelings, and it was just let the heat of the moment." So they talked and chatted up and kind of patched things up. But then, now what happened this past time, I don't know how Dame feels. I'm going to talk to him later in the interview today, but I don't know really how he feels about Paul right now.
Well, you had Patrick Beverley, who was falling all over the floor. He was laughing when Lillard missed the 2 free throws, and Paul George is laughing, and they're chirping there. Those two guys have nothing to chirp about against Damian Lillard.
Yeah, like I said, that's Patrick Beverley. He's going to do that with Paul. He does that to LeBron. You know what I mean? So I don't. Hold on, I got room service coming in, right? No house cleaning, please. Thank you. No, not right. Come back in like 30 minutes, please. Thank you. Sorry about that, DP. They come here thoroughly.
Was that Chris Mannix?
No,
that was not Mannix. Oh,
Max not cleaning my room.
Okay,
my room clean. That's not him.
But you weren't ordering food. That was somebody to clean your room.
Clean my room.
Okay.
I thought it was my food, but it was somebody coming.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll hurry up then. We're talking to Chris Haynes, the Yahoo senior NBA insider, NBA on TNT sideline reporter. He's got Blazers and the Mavs tomorrow on TNT. I've been talking about Luka And at his age, I said he's better than Larry Bird at this age. Larry was still in college. So then people go, as soon as you say Larry Bird, they're like, yeah, you can't say that. Well, I have to look at what Luka's doing, just the sheer numbers. And I know he's not doing it on a big stage the way Bird did, where they were winning championships. But what Luka is doing now at 21 is everybody as impressive, if not more so, than what Bird was doing at 21 because he was still in college. How do you look at what Luka's doing in the bubble? Because it feels like a lot of guys are putting up some big numbers in the bubble. Are these true, real numbers?
No, these are true real numbers. Look, man, you can't not dismiss the production that he's given his team and what he's showing, the talent he's putting on display. And what I like about him is that he loves the hoop. I spoke to him yesterday, and he's really big on like team camaraderie. It kind of reminds me of LeBron James, how LeBron James likes to have all of his teammates with him, on off days, just doing things together. And Luka is just a basketball junkie. And so, he loves his atmosphere. He says similar to, over there in Europe, the way that they would play and have teams, just at the same location. So he's loving this. And what I like about him, I was able to speak with some of the coaching staff, and it was just like, he doesn't overwhelm you with speed, quickness, athleticism, but he has a changing of pace, skill that you just can't teach a lot of young guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. Like, you may look at him like he's slow, and he's going by some of the quickest defenders we have in this league. And the reason why he changes his speed, he's really deceptive in that. And then he has a step back that is unguardable most of the time. So he has an eye for the game, man. He is polished. I think it's a valid comparison when you talk about Larry Bird, because he was the same way. Somebody who wasn't overly quick, but just knew how to use his speed just right to get past the opponent.
And that's why when I look at Luka, when people say, "Well, would you rather have Luka or Zion?" I said, "I'm gonna bet on Luka because he's not in a race against his body. Zion is in a race against his body, and he hasn't looked in shape. And I don't know what he's going to be like in 5 years. I don't know if he is larger. He's not as explosive as he was a year ago at Duke. So I don't think it's an argument there. Luka would be by far and away who I would take. Zion might bring in more seats, more eyeballs, but now you have the Pelicans who bowed out. What do you make of their look at big picture with the Pelicans, because Lonzo was really disappointing in the bubble. But I do like that they're young, and I love Ingram there as well. But what do they need?
Well, they need Zion to stay healthy first and foremost. That's the cornerstone of that franchise, and how he goes, I think the franchise is going to go as well. With that being said, they have a decision to make with Brandon Ingram. He's a free agent this offseason. I was actually surprised Brandon came and played in this restart. He played so well during the course of the season that it was like I felt like he might be one of those guys to say, you know what, my value can't go anything but down if I go and play. But look, DP, they're excited. But look, I want to get to Zion. I want to stay on that because he's the guy when you're talking about the Pelicans, man. Like, they have to figure something out. And obviously, I think if you look at the actions of the Pelicans and how they handled Zion, either he wasn't completely healthy, but they denied that, or they really didn't value this restart. And it wasn't a main priority because they had the easiest schedule. Yeah. And so most people were feeling like, the league was trying to make sure the Pelicans got in there. And the league, if the league did that or not, we don't know. But the Pelicans sure didn't take advantage of that or didn't try to take advantage of that. So that leads me to believe that they're playing a long game with him, want to make sure that he's healthy moving forward. But, if that kid, if he's not able to get it together physically, they're going to be in a heap of trouble.
Yeah, I know. Draymond Green, who's not in the bubble, was on TNT, and he was, trying to provide some headlines there. And he said the following about Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns.
Asking me about Patrick. It's great to see Book playing well and Phoenix playing well, but get my man out of Phoenix. It's not good for him. It's not good for his career. Sorry, Chuck, but they got to get Book out of Phoenix. I need my man to go somewhere where he can play great basketball all the time and win because he's that type of player.
Are you tampering?
Maybe.
Well, that cost him $50 there. What did you make of Draymond Green?
Well, I was actually on a boat fishing when I broke that he was getting 50,000. So that's the first time I've been on a boat breaking the story. But I'll say that. I'll say, look, it's unfortunate. I understand why the league has to do that. But, he was on TNT. He was on a show where, they have personalities. And Draymond is a personality. Like, I think he's going to be great for TV for his personality and for his analysis that he provides. But that's the part of the player where, you get on those platforms and, you still aren't free. You're not free like Chuck. You're still a player.
Yeah.
You're still an active player. So that's the tough spot about being put in those roles when you're an active player. Like, you want to come out and say some of the things that you truly believe, but then you get penalized for doing so because you're active. So, I think he learned that's a hefty fine on your day off when you're in the off season. That's pretty hefty right there.
And Ernie Johnson didn't help him by saying, "Are you tampering?"
Yeah, but DP, I think what got on that fine was the fact that he said Devin Booker needs to get out of Phoenix.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I don't think necessarily the tee up by Ernie say, "Are you tampering?" Because I think once you're saying a player needs to get out of Phoenix, that was it.
But was Draymond correct in saying that Devin Booker needs to get
Well, now you trying to do what Ernie did.
You can't get fined for tampering.
They get five, but I can hear it from the Suns if I say something like that. I'm in my place.
You know what? I'll pay for your room service if you if you get yelled at by the Phoenix Suns. Hey, great to see you, Chris, and have fun with the Blazers and the Mavs. Who has more points between Damian Lillard and Luka tomorrow night?
I'm going with Dame, DP.
Yeah, 40. Over under is 40 for Dame.
I'm going 40.
You'll go over? Okay. All right. Great to talk to you, Chris. Thanks for joining us as always.
Take care, my guy.
That's Chris Haynes, Yahoo's senior NBA insider. You'll see him on the sidelines of the Mavs and the Blazers coming up tomorrow. Take a break. Phone calls are next here on the Dan Patrick Show. Who's the comedian that you saw and you went, I don't know if I can do this if I'm compared to that?
Well, I mean, Robert Klein and George Carlin, and as far as not as household name, Larry Miller. I don't know if you know Larry Miller. Yeah. I would watch Larry Miller and just his style, the way he would just converse, and he didn't have to yell and scream, and it's so subtle yet so sharp.
Letterman loved having Larry Miller on.
Yeah.
He always took care of those older comedians, maybe less known comedians there.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Do you remember your first
loyal.
Letterman appearance?
I do. I do remember it because I'm not sitting here without it, because I had been doing stand-up for 11 years, and I had done mostly every show a stand-up could do except Letterman. And I was still just a working comic, which was fine with me. But I just thought if I'm ever going to jump to the next level, it should have happened by now, because everybody was getting development deals or shows. And it was my first Letterman where that happened. When I finished my Letterman, I knew it went well, even for myself. I'm very pessimistic and glass is half empty, but I knew I had a good set. And a week later, they called my house on a Saturday. I remember this exactly.
Oh, boy. On
a Saturday afternoon, they called my house in Queens, Rob Burnett, who was the producer, and he said, hey, I just want you to know that Dave loved it, and we're interested in signing you for a development deal. We want to talk about it. So if anyone else offers, please come. And I went, there's nobody offering. I go, I'll sign over the phone if I have to. And he produced Everybody Loves Raymond. That's how Everybody Loves Raymond came. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah, that was I've done about 35 Lettermans since that one. You know, I did like 2 a year while the show was on, and then one after. And, you know, Letterman's my guy.
Guys, as you may or may not know, it is Shark Week, so everyone thinks it's a big week for me, but it's not. It's like St. Patrick's Day. I don't know what that picture is, but it's like St. Patrick's Day for Irish people, it's not. Everyone's on my brand right now.
So this is for everybody else. But
this is for everybody else. I don't like it all.
So I work 51 weeks a year.
Yeah, I have an idea for alternate viewing that we could do here at the DP show. Let's see. How about Steve Sharks Week? Sharks Week instead of Sharks Week.
And it's in Clearwater. I don't know if there's any sharks in Clearwater, though.
But I had to do some research. There are other famous sharks.
Okay.
Roy Sharks, who ran the Gore and Angus newspaper in Missouri, son of Casper Sharks.
Casper Sharks.
Husband of Angie Sharks. There are a lot of sharks going on in Missouri. Like it is a
Sharks Week.
That's Sharks Country.
Yeah, it's Sharks Country. So this is
and it's landlocked too.
Yeah. So I don't know if we have enough to make a whole week out of this, but Sharks Week instead of Shark
You've had
Week.
a hard enough time just making a looking out of this, let alone a week. But all right, Sharks Week.
Because you know what? I got to say, that face looks like maybe he was expecting a little something different.
Yeah, he's holding on
He's
for
kind
dear
of
life.
like, wait a minute, am I going to... Oh, wait. Yeah.
I drank too much mead last night, and I got the shark.
I think his stomach is upset.
Angie is like, oh, come on, did you just do that again?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Why did I keep my last name?
Wait, I think I just... yeah.
You really didn't want to hang out with Casper Sharks.
Yeah, no.
Casper was famous throughout the mid-Missouri.
He was the big shark. Arizona boys, take it all in.
It's like my mind is off the grid.
I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere, right in the thick of things.
It's like the moon is looking at me.
Reminds me of that time I rented City Slickers 2 on VHS.
Don't get me wrong. I love our man cave, but sometimes it's just nice to get out and experience the wilderness.
You know, I feel like we're a bunch of modern-day cowboys.
Yeah, like we're rebel outlaws on the run and had to make camp.
Now it's just us and our thoughts.
So what's the bathroom situation? You don't think I'm really gonna dig a hole or something?
Stop. You're ruining the moment. We're right now one with nature.
But what if I have to go to...
Patrick, party of 5. Right this way, gentlemen.
Go to rockauto.com for all the parts your car or truck will ever need. Rockauto.com, a family business founded by automotive engineers in 1999. 2 goals in mind. First, giving you direct access to the parts information hidden in computers and catalogs behind the parts store counter. And second, they want to make sure those parts are affordable. They offer reliably low prices. Rockauto.com. Choose the part brands, prices, features you want anytime, 24/7. Rockauto.com. Even has a lot of the parts you've been told dealer only are no longer available. Parts are delivered right to your home or office. You don't waste time and money hunting for the parts, phoning, driving, waiting in lines. Go to rockauto.com. Make sure you tell them we sent you. All the parts your car, truck will ever need. rockauto.com. Best and worst of the weekend. Let me get a couple of phone calls out of here, out of the way. They've been holding for quite some time. Jeff in Detroit. Hey, Jeff. Welcome back.
Hey, what up, though, Dan? One time for Chat Row. As I'm sitting here thinking, Roger Goodell is in one of the best positions because he gets a chance to see what works, what doesn't work. I kind of liken it to the one wildebeest that's crossing the river with all of the crocodiles, and he's waiting on the right chance to get across. And hopefully he gets to the other side. So that's what I'm hoping for the NFL. They get on the right side of things, man, because this is really, really crazy. My best and worst of the weekend. My best is let's start with the worst. The worst is Dame Lillard missing 2 free throws and a straight-on 3 that would have given them the lead against the Clippers. My best is going to be the Backroom Bros. That 12:15 podcast is pure gold. Ty Fritz, you the man. Listen, when Ty speaks, you got to put a seatbelt on because he's going to give you a lot of information in a short period of time. But the one thing about Ty, what everybody loves, the guy is genuine. You get real tie all day, all the time.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Have a good one.
Thank you, Jeff. Have a great day. So the Backroom guys have their own podcast. It's called the 12:15 Club, and it's every Friday. After Meet Friday, then they have their podcast. I was their first guest, their first episode. That was the previous week. And then they brought in Fritzy for this past Friday. Now, Todd talked on the show last week about cheating. And he didn't understand what cheating is or was cheating on tests in school. And he graduated second in his class in high school. And I asked him if he'd ever cheated. And Todd said, well, you know, he might look over at somebody's answer just to compare them. Now, I told the Danettes, now I'm listening to the podcast on Friday, and I said, this is a bombshell, what Todd Fritz is going to admit here. Because you have prided yourself in your academic standing. You say you're a honorable man, and you avoided women all through college to just focus on your education. You did a great job. And Fritzy was asked on the 12:15 podcast about cheating, and this is what Fritzy had to say.
I think I'm going to put my foot in it again by saying this, but I wasn't so much that I changed an answer I already had, and I guess this is cheating, but I'll just share it. There might have been a few that I left blank, and I had no idea what to write. And then, you look to your left or right, and whatever it was, if it was a math test and they wrote 12 3/4 or whatever it was, or 3 times 10 to the negative, and then you write it after having no answer there, I guess that would be cheating. But, sitting there erasing things or crossing things out, that wasn't really my kind of cheating. The only cheating I did was checking with what I wrote was the same, or once in a while, I can't leave it blank. I might as well give it a shot. And if Greg Kirshner to my left or Eddie Lefkowitz to my right, two very bright kids, both have 12 3/4, and I got nothing, I'm writing 12 3/4 too.
Todd, that's cheating.
It does sound cheating, doesn't it?
No, it is. You said, I guess that's cheating. You don't have something, you have a blank. You look over at Eddie's paper, and you take what he has written down. You're not comparing your answers.
Because if you leave it blank, you're definitely going to get it wrong.
Yes.
You're going to get no credit
But
for
you
that.
led us to believe that you were so smart.
It was very occasionally that I did that. But I guess,
But you
I guess
did
that would be
cheat.
cheating.
You cheated.
A lot more was checking an answer I already wrote.
But you cheated.
But there was a couple of times where I'm like, I just don't know what to put there. And they're saying 12 3/4. These kids are right there, like in the top 10, top 20.
I asked Paulie to try to get a hold of the principal or somebody in the academic community there. I think your academics are in jeopardy here.
Big asterisk next to the salutatorian there.
Yes,
I think there is just a huge difference, though, between looking at someone's paper and bringing in the answers or having like a cheat sheet. So I think what Todd is admitting to doing is a more socially acceptable form of cheating. And I don't think that his records should be tainted in any way.
He cheated.
He didn't really he just looked at somebody else's paper.
And wrote down the answer.
He didn't write the answers down on like his thigh or something and pull up his shorts to look at them.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I never did that. So I didn't cheat in my academic career either.
No.
And I still didn't graduate anywhere near the top of my class. Yes, Paul.
It's similar to when Todd went into the store with his wife and bought the dishes and walked out without being charged for them for somehow and not bring them back. It's not, he didn't steal the dishes, but he didn't really bring them back when he had the chance.
I rationalize it by saying these are way overpriced. So it should be, if you think about it, 2 for the price of 1 anyway. If you think of all the things that they charge
If
crazy
you're going to rationalize, then you would say, man, these questions are so hard, they shouldn't be on a test.
you
They're
could look
not
at
fair.
that. But a couple of plates for $100 and then another couple of plates for another $100. I'm like, this should be $100 for both sets if you think about it anyway. So I'm just going to.
So your status in comparison to McLovin really just slipped quite.
There's some question
I
marks
cheated
there.
all the time too, by the way. I just wouldn't admit it on a podcast. How did you get straight A's in school? You guys obviously were doing it wrong.
I didn't want to put in the effort to cheat. We're going to take a break. Final hour coming up. We'll give you our best and worst of the weekend. Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, McLovin. This is the Dan Patrick Show. Back after this. Did you ever have your doubts about ESPN? Like, it went early stages, or even with your career latter part?
My gosh, in the early '80s, we were. I think the technical financial term that I learned in college is we were hemorrhaging money by the bushel. Early '80s, there was a line sending out at the Xerox machine, getting our resumes ready. I mean, until in the early '80s, ABC exercised its option and bought controlling interest. I mean, there were questions about whether Ted Turner was going to acquire us just for the hardware and shutter the thing. So the first 3 to 4 years, there were no guarantees. I mean, there are no guarantees at all in life and in this business, but the early stretch, before you had joined us, what really solidified us, was '87 getting the NFL contract, the next year getting the Major League Baseball contract. But in the early '80s, it was touch and go, and we knew it.
Did you ever have a moment where you just lost it? Because that's not really in your character. Out of the building, it's part of your character with a great sense of humor. But what about on? Did you ever have one of those moments where you just said, I got no shot here?
Oh, yeah. I don't think they've made their way on the air, but there have been a few pencils tossed and expletives undeleted. Yeah. It just, you blow off steam. I mean, it's because you care so much.
But did you ever laugh? Like Charlie Steiner would always start laughing.
Oh, hell yes. And with Steiner. I mean, the two of us together? Heck yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Steiner's a walking chuckle fest himself.
Oh,
I mean,
my God.
He one time said to me, we're getting ready to come out of break, and we knew we were running a tape that had the potential to make Charlie laugh. And he was, you remember how close we would sit side by each on that SportsCenter set.
Yeah.
It's almost shoulder to shoulder, separated by 3 feet. And 20 seconds back from break, Charlie says, I'm going to get through this story. He says, don't make me laugh. Don't look at me. I said, okay, Charlie. 5, 4, 3, and it's Charlie's story coming out of break. 3, 2, and at the count of 3, I just slowly, out of range of the camera, but fully within range of Charlie's peripheral vision, pivoted slowly in my chair, so I was staring directly at him. And he had no chance. He had no chance. Went right over the edge.
Going to just stop your momentum.
Do the big receivers do that to the cornerbacks too? Like Alshon Jeffrey's going to hit the cornerback and knock him off balance, right? That's why you don't hit him at the line.
Man, but cornerbacks are so strong now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're bigger. So, they're bigger, they're stronger and stuff like that. And these guys are they're sort of like little guys. They're very compact, but they're strong.
Oh, okay. So you can't just knock them off balance.
My thing was all about winning at the line of scrimmage.
Paulie has a problem. He tends to, like Clay Matthews blocked him. You tried to tackle Forte. You tried to block Saragusa.
But this is
he'd like to get you off the line.
I'd like to play DB on one play. Just
one
show
play.
Me how I'd, if I was going to do a ball.
Okay. Okay. Ready? Now I'll just call it. Ready? Hut hut.
I slowed him down.
Now what did he do? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you got him out here.
The only thing that slowed me down was that desk. Because I was gone.
Okay, but who's the guy
coming back?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Paulie, you didn't get hurt there.
No, I would have loved to though. It's smart from Jerry Rice.
Yeah, you
sign me up.
Something.
Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show, hosted by Dan Patrick and joined by the four Danettes.
Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, and McLovin.
People sometimes ask me, how would you describe the Danettes?
The meanest Danette, Paulie.
And I struggle because, well, they're complex human beings with layers.
I really love my grandma.
But every so often, something happens that perfectly sums up an individual.
Case in point.
When I was 8 years old pitching in Little League, the other team in the third base dugout was screaming and yelling, "We want a pitcher, not a Billy Itch," and all the things to try to distract me. And it was my first year in Little League, and I didn't realize that that's something that you can do. And it was really bothering me. I'm walking guys, I'm losing focus. I call timeout, so I wave the home plate umpire, meets me between the catcher and the mound, and I go, "Yeah, I'm trying to pitch here, and the other team is screaming and yelling at me. Can you make them stop?"
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Final hour on this Monday. Gone by pretty quick here. First 2 hours, we'll give you our best and worst of the weekend. More of your phone calls as well. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. College football is part of the fabric of American life. And for the season to be canceled would be another devastating blow in what's been a very difficult year. This weekend, the Mid-American Conference became the first FBS conference to call off games for the fall. And as I mentioned the last couple of hours, the information I got was Northern Illinois was the one that started this. Northern Illinois said, we're not going to play this year. The Mid-American Conference, all of their presidents got together and then said, well, we're not going to play then as a conference. Now I'm getting information. I got information at 8 a.m. this morning that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 are scheduled to announce tomorrow that they will not be playing football in the fall. Some of the other information that I've received is that the ACC and the Big 12 are on the fence. Not quite sure if they're going to play or not. The SEC is trying to get a delay and have teams join them. The SEC is looking at exclusive TV contracts right now. 3 Big Ten teams that my source spoke to said it's done. It's a foregone conclusion that the Big Ten will not be playing football. There were 2 presidents in the Big Ten who voted to play. That was Nebraska and Iowa. Just got report from the Des Moines Register that Iowa has canceled their practice for today. That's all I know. Not a good sign. So that's just some of the information that I've received so far this morning, that the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are, it looks like they're going to announce tomorrow that they're going to cancel. The ACC, Big 12, from what I'm hearing with the Big 12, I spent the whole weekend talking to this source because this was what was going on over the last 72 hours with college football. I don't know what changed from last week when the Big Ten announced its schedule. And then I go, what happened in the last 5 days? The Pac-12 didn't want to be the first conference to cancel, from what I'm told. Oklahoma and Texas are fighting the rest of the Big 12 to continue playing football. The MAC dropped football because they don't have the money to test. Safety a big issue, but money was the impetus. Northern Illinois was pulling out and led the charge. So just some of the information that I have this morning and got over the weekend. I had some people who reached out and said, well, you had Pat Forty on. You know, you say you're unbiased. Why don't you have Joel Klatt on? I love having Joel Klatt on. He's a great analyst for Fox Sports. We've had him on many, many times. And I know that he said, hey, you know, we want these players to speak up, get them back on the field. I'm rooting for college football. I need college football. I'm the one that watches the MAC. I'm the one that watches the noon game on ESPN when it's Maryland versus Rutgers. By request, Joel Klatt on the program. Joel, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. No problem. How are you?
I'm doing okay here. How do you sum up the past 24, 48 hours here with college football?
Liability.
Yep.
That's how I sum it up. You know, I think it has turned into an interesting case study in what happens when you actually get to the decision maker. You know, back when I was first married to my wife, she was in business-to-business sales, and she would sell copiers, right? And it's one of the toughest things to actually do. And the principle that she always talked about was that you've got to get to the decision maker, right? So that's what she would try to do every time she walked into a business. Well, what we've been doing over the last few months, Dan, is we have not been getting to the decision maker. Once the presidents got into the room and they started looking at this not from a player safety aspect, but from a liability aspect, they started looking for ways to punt. Because I want to be very clear. I believe, players believe, athletic directors believe, coaches believe that the players are safer within the structure, the protocols, and the procedures of trying to play a college football season, testing twice a week, medical obviously available, the training, the nutrition, the structure of college football. They are safer in that environment, being tested, being monitored, being within all of those procedures than if they were to just say, hey, the season is canceled and you can go on your way. If they go out into the normal course of life, they are much more likely, I think, to contract the virus. Not only that, but they at times probably won't even know it because this age group is, majority of the case, asymptomatic when they contract the virus. So, again, I don't think that this is about trying to keep players safe because I think they can keep players safer within the structure of football. I believe that this is about liability.
Yep.
So the only thing that changed from the time that schedules came out early last week to now is that the decision makers got in the room, the ones that are actually standing at the vault door of the financial shoestrings of these universities. Because what they don't want to see is the growing crowd of liability lawyers that are out there and plaintiffs' lawyers that are out there absolutely frothing at the mouth to try to bring a case against a university or a conference.
Yeah, that was the word that was singled out for me this morning. And my source said, I'll sum it up in one word, liability. So when you said that, it just reinforces what is being said throughout college football right now. But can the SEC, from what I'm told, the SEC is trying to see if they can bring in some people, and they're looking at, an exclusive TV contract. Like the SEC is still trying to get this up and running. Can you see maybe the SEC is an outlier playing football this year?
Yeah, I can. I think that this is what's so fascinating about the structure or lack thereof of college football is that, it's not one size fits all. And no one person is going to make the decision for every single conference, nor are they going to make the decision for every single university. Here's what I also think is interesting. Dan, you could take it a step further. I've talked to at least two athletic directors that have told me, regardless of what their conference does, if their governor will allow it, they will go out and try to find football games. So think about that, right? Like
state by state.
It is to some degree the wild, wild west that we're entering into because of the lack of structure that we've all known about in college football. And we've all lamented it in the form of like, oh, the postseason and the playoff and why isn't there better scheduling and so on. But now it's like real world, like how do we get teams on the field? How do we protect kids the best way that we possibly can? And I would just go back to the point, and I want to reiterate it if you don't mind, is that I absolutely believe, and most everybody that I talk to within the sport believes, that the kids are going to be safer within the structure of college football than outside of the structure of college football. So if they punt on this season, it is not for health and safety reasons. I firmly believe that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I even brought that up to Pat Forty that, aren't these football players, the Power 5 conferences that can afford this. I was told the Mid-American Conference doesn't have the money for all the testing that it was going to take, and Northern Illinois was pulling the cord on this, and so they said, then we have to shut this down. The Power 5.
Well, not only that, Dan, but they lost their revenue games, right? Their only revenue structure is to play, basically if you're the MAC, the Big Ten, or maybe the ACC. And when you lose those revenue games because those conferences are going to go conference only, there's no financial viability to even trying to play. But yes, go ahead.
And that's the way it was with Connecticut. When Connecticut decided to shut down, they were an independent. It's not a big revenue-producing sport, and they had lost games in the ACC and some of the other conferences. So they basically had no choice but to shut down. I just don't know if there's this movement with college players, some of the marquee players, Trevor Lawrence. Like, what can be done, do you think, over the next 4, 5, 6 days? Would players sign a waiver? Can you do something like that? Is there something to reduce the liability or remove liability? And how quickly can you do something like this?
I don't know. I wish I was smarter. I would figure this thing out, right? But I do know just procedurally, I think that there are a couple of things that I would want to speak to, and that is the overall structure of the schedule of college football as well as the everyday life of the college football player. Okay, so I'll speak to those two things. Let's start with the life of the college football player. If they're going to be within these testing protocols, then that bubble that is created, remember, is a little bit different than any other sport because they can just be around their team. And if you're worried about them congregating with other students on campus, then I think it's very easy by just putting all of their classes online. So you create a little bit of an academic bubble for the football team. And most of these kids, by the way, and I know this is different from when all of us were in school, but most of these college football players are taking most of their classes online anyways. I would just move the entire football team, their entire schedule to online classes. And then the next thing I would do is I would actually expand the season, not the number of games, but the number of weeks that we'd be trying to play these games. Because the other element that these decision makers are talking about is that with a protocol or a procedure of a 14-day isolation or quarantine with positive tests, which we all know will be inevitable, I think that what they're finding out and seeing with, let's say, Major League Baseball is that it's going to be incredibly difficult to play every single game, and you're going to have cancellations and delays and stops and starts and so on and so forth, and they're going to try to avoid that. By expanding the length of the season, not the number of games, what you would do, at least in my model, is that you would play a game every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So what that would allow for is more testing and then time for isolation and quarantine, and yet not losing games because players are isolated and quarantined. You can get them back to a better – I think you can protect a player better if you're playing every 2 weeks rather than trying to have like this sprint to the finish of like 10 games in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's the two things I would do.
Yeah, and I'd suggested if you did 16 weeks and you did 8 games, then you would have that ability to almost hit the reset button, and I agree with you on that. And look, this is a fluid situation, Joel, but I don't know where we're going. I knew where we were, at least I thought I did, and now I'm not sure what's going to happen by week's end, but it doesn't look good. And I appreciate you joining us on short notice. Always love your insights.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me on. Have a good day, bud.
All right, that's Joel Klatt, Fox Sports. Yeah, lots changed here. But if you played an 8-game schedule and did it over 16 weeks, and then you could have another conference that was, so you staggered them. So then you could have conference games. The Big Ten would be one weekend, and the Big 12 would be one weekend. Pac-12, and then the ACC, and maybe the SEC would be in there. Maybe you could do something like that, and then you could ensure, even more safety precautions would be put in place there. Yeah, Paul.
And Dan, if you started a 16-week, 8-game schedule the first weekend of September, you would still wrap up the college football regular season before Christmas, so it would not affect a 14 playoff.
A couple of phone calls here, and then we'll take a break. TJ in Texas joins us. TJ, thanks for holding. What's on your mind? Best and worst of the weekend?
Hey, Dan, thanks for taking my call again. Two best. First is hearing Jim Nance's voice again during a major. Just makes the entire tournament experience sound different on TV. And my second one is my Phoenix Suns going 5-0 in the bubble so far, and they're going to make it 6-0 tonight with the win over OKC. Thanks for taking my call, guys. Have a good day.
All right, TJ. Yeah, the Suns are playing well. Maybe Devin Booker doesn't need to get out of Phoenix. Chris in Arizona. Hi, Chris. What do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan. I just wanted to say my best and worst of the weekend was the previous caller, the 5-0 Phoenix Suns, and then the worst is Draymond Green getting fined $50,000 for wanting Booker out of Phoenix. With all the stars that leave it, it's a pretty fair statement. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, Devin Booker signed that contract extension, didn't he? Then he have like a $158 million coming his way? If he really wanted to get out of there. Let me see. Derek in Virginia joining us. Hi, Derek. What do you have?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. 5'11", 175. And I just want to say thank you for all you do. So suck it, no one. And my best of the weekend is Morikawa winning the PGA. That smile is contagious, and just that shot on 16 was absolutely unbelievable. But the main reason I wanted to call is I want to tell my cheating story in support of Fritzy. What I did was I had an AP chemistry exam coming up in the afternoon, so I had a periodic table in my pocket. I went to the bathroom stall, and I wrote the periodic table invertedly on my man boobs. And then what I would do during the test in the afternoon is I would look down my shirt and wipe my brow, pretend to wipe my brow. And so, yeah, and I'm totally proud of that.
All right. What, Paulie?
Dan is, I would guess, an expert on this type of topic. Anytime the proof is on your body, that's terrible. It's almost impossible to dispose. And the wiping the brow move, that's amateur hour. You're better than that.
Let me go to the resident cheater. Todd?
Have you seen a periodic table of the elements? That's a lot to fit on a chest or anywhere. And the little numbers for the atomic radii and valence electrons and all the things that go into the periodic table.
Don't try to show off. Okay. Don't try to show off.
Okay. I think you're better off just trying to figure out what to do with cupric sulfate without trying to read it off your body.
You are a cheater. Okay? You're a cheater.
You don't meet girls with copper sulfate or whatever that is. Whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, what did you just say?
The atomic radii and the cupric sulfates and the periodic table of the elements. You have the coefficients and the subscripts and balancing equations. Exo and endothermic reactions.
How did you possibly meet your wife?
Luke.
The iambic pentameter.
Yeah, because you got Derek Jeter on the horn.
Oh, that's right.
That was probably 99%.
What a bait and switch that is. You're on the phone with Derek Jeter, and then Todd shows up.
That was the first time you were unprofessional.
Yeah, there have been a few instances.
Yeah.
I made Jim Mora, who was the Saints coach at the time, spend a half hour with me before going on a show that I was working on to try to tell me all the best restaurants so that I can impress my now wife or where I should take her in New Orleans to eat dinner.
And then you had Derek Jeter call your wife.
From his hotel room right before a limo was picking him up to come do a sports talk show. And I got Jen to come out of her classroom so they can chat and he can say hi to her for a minute.
That's so unprofessional.
And then you got the bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah videos.
Oh, well, we know that was almost a fireable offense. Because first your son, and then you were told not to, and then you had your daughter, and you still did it. And
but that was less sports people. That was more just
I know.
Nickelodeon, Disney.
I know. And look,
kids.
I understand why you did it, but I don't know if you understand why you shouldn't have done it.
Why not? I don't think it's sunk in.
I think that's the key. Like, you don't know that you cheated, and you're not quite sure why anybody was upset that you reached out.
It's a lot of denying. It's a cloud of denial that I live in.
Yes, Eden.
Yeah, the best part of those videos was that for like months leading up to and then months, if not years after, somebody would be like, oh, hey, by the way, Todd, I'll get you that video. Or, hey, how'd the video work out? Did that good? And it would be like, Keanu Reeves being like, hey, Todd, how did that video work out? Is that okay?
Yes, Paul.
What?
I still think the Jeter thing might be worse by Todd because Todd was a young man in the industry and asking a young Yankee
No, he
all-star.
didn't know better then. He knew better with the bar mitzvah.
Well, he knew better and chose not to.
We flew Derek Jeter and coach from Newark to LAX. Imagine trying to do that these days.
Oh, my God.
He was in seat like 34D. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Rookie of the Year. I guess he didn't know better. The Yankees just won the World Series. Next thing you know, he's on a coach flight in the back of a plane from Newark to LAX to do some interview.
Let's take a break here. We'll come back, give you our best and worst of the weekend. It's 19 after the hour. This is the Dan Patrick Show. You know what I did yesterday? Stayed in bed. Yeah, yesterday. Couple hours. Didn't do anything. Just was lying there. And I went, why should I get up? Yeah. I got my sleep number bed. Comfortable. My wife goes, what'd you do today? I said, nothing. I just stayed in bed. She says, okay. I got my sleep number, 75. I got a great night's sleep. And figured, why not, just hang out there. Nothing wrong with that. You'd want to jump in my bed, too. Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Right now, for a limited time, save up to $500 on select smart beds. Shop your way at a Sleep Number store, online at sleepnumber.com/Patrick, or by chat. You can dial them up and ask all the questions you want. You got 2 beds in one, perfect bed for couples that you don't argue, and as more places open up this summer, quality sleep is more important. Coming in and facing the Danettes every day, I have to have a great night's sleep. Sleepnumber.com/Patrick. Go to a Sleep Number store or dial them up and chat. Good luck. Did you care if you were liked when you played?
Did I care if I was liked? Well, I think I had that. I gave off an air that I'm told by sports psychologists later to help me that I had a very enviable quality of being able to be totally engrossed in what I was doing. So people on the outside would think that was aloof, cool, cold, arse, whatever they wanted to call me. So I believed that was the only way I could play. Was real head down, blinkers on, be totally engrossed in it, and I couldn't handle distractions from the outside, and that's what I loved the fans there being played. I loved the atmosphere, absolutely. So I enjoyed that, and I think the fans were there, really enjoyed watching me play. Obviously, they loved Seve. They loved him and his character and everything. I think they respected me the way I played golf, and I enjoy that years later when people come up to me and say, I jumped on the train and drove and went all the way up to Scotland, went to Muirfield, watched you win the Open, went back home, and then they go, do you know that was the greatest day of my life? And I think, wow. So that's a very heartwarming sort of feeling to think that little 15 seconds to people that day watching me play golf meant so much to some people.
Do you care if people like you as an announcer?
Well, the feedback is fantastic. I mean, I really enjoy being here in America because 100% of the people come up to you and say, wow, I loved you playing golf, and I love you as an announcer now, and I love this, and then they remember a few lines, or you did this, and when I did my Bryson Shambo glasses upside down, all this sort of thing. People don't get whether I'm being silly or whether I'm, some people will say, oh, that's so disrespectful and all this. I think, no, I get the guy. I like the guy. It's my way of, if I tease, the more, as I said, the more I tease somebody, the more I like them. So that's
with Johnny Miller, I don't know if he changed, because I don't know how you guys felt or you felt when Johnny Miller was critical of how you played.
Yeah.
But he did play. And I don't know what impact he had on golf, where it feels like it's okay to push a little bit, where before it was kind of hands off here in the United States.
Yeah, I agree. You kind of just commented but the viewers want a little bit more, so we do try and spend a little bit more time to get to know the person. And you call shots. I mean, if it's a good shot, I like to tell the viewer why it was a good shot, and obviously if the guy's shanked it or hit it in the tree, you got to tell him why it's a bad shot. But you don't have to get personal on the why it's a bad shot. I like to think I'm being factual. If anything, I'm kind of throwing out lessons all the time. So we try this, do that. He did this, stop doing that sort of thing. So try to. I think I get on great with all the guys. I mean, I think sure. As I said, if they ever think I'm teasing them a bit too much, well, it's only because out of respect and I like them more.
Has anybody challenged you?
Yeah, one came and said, because I'd said that was the most stupid decision you ever made in your life. He did take 8 at the hole, so I kind of feel I was, going in the right direction. So
it wasn't going to get physical. It was just 8.
No, can't get physical with me. I'm training to fight Evander Holyfield, so don't mess with me, mate.
Yeah, but he's 60, so
I'm 62. Oh, in the summer, I'm 62 in July.
I'll take you. Okay, who's the PGA Tour player currently? If he came knocking on your door and he had a problem with you,
problem with me? God, well, we're going all negative this morning, aren't we? Gee, if someone had a problem with me,
yeah.
Well, I don't. Unfortunately, don't.
Like Koepka comes to the door.
Oh no! Yeah, then I'm. Oh yeah. Peace. Then I get my sword.
Yeah.
Then
your knight.
I get my sword.
Yeah. I always.
Yeah, he's the juggernaut, isn't he? Out there. Wow. These guys are big dudes. They're strong, mega strong.
No comment from the Big Ten or Pac-12 so far, following my report this morning. They're probably just getting everything together, getting that press release together, if it truly is going to happen tomorrow, where they announce they're not going to play fall football. I got something really special for you tomorrow night. If you want to watch us lose the Sports Emmy, you have the opportunity.
We don't know that.
I do know that they can watch us lose the Sports Emmy. We don't know that we've lost, but we don't know that we've won. We've lost the last two. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a red carpet treatment tomorrow night at 8 Eastern on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. We're going to try to start at 8-ish because we found out that the best daily studio show award will be handed out very late. Yeah, I know. So the fact that we're doing this via Zoom, I'm hoping that everybody gets their victory speeches over and saves time for me to give a longer victory speech when we win. But what we're going to do is we're going to have you get the opportunity to watch with us. We're going to be watching the award ceremony. Marvin the Prince is going to be handling the interviews on the red carpet. Special sit-down interview with Paulie on why we were able to come up with another award-winning show this year and at least be in the category here, Best Daily Studio Show. And it's basically like E Entertainment when they'd be live from the red carpet. That's what we're going to have tomorrow night. And then we're going to have champagne. I got food is catered. And you guys are coming in dressed up. And you can watch the show. While we watch the show, watch us lose the Sports Emmy. Yes,
That sounds great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's tomorrow night. Danettes are going to be here. Backroom guys are going to be here. Penny's going to be here. Yeah, Paulie.
Any chance McLovin works with a designer, like a glasses? You know, he'll drop dimensions. Who are you wearing? I can see him doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to.
I've been working on my outfit.
Yeah. And I said, I want you guys to look like you would be if you were going to go to the Sports Emmys.
Look like Emmy winners.
Yeah. Look like a winner is what I want you to look like. We may not be a winner tomorrow night, but we're going to look like winners. And that starts at 8 Eastern-ish. We're going to start it live. And so the ceremony starts at 8. And then we're hoping before 9 o'clock they'll make the announcement in our category. I wanted it to be like the second or third category in. Let's just get it out of the way, and then we go to the bar. But, yeah, I told the big German, go get some champagne, 1 bottle per person, and not for drinking, for pouring it on each other when we win. Yeah, Paul.
Now, if somehow we lose, do we have to talk to the media afterwards, like a coach? Or no, can you just leave?
You can say no comment.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's going to be a powerful night. The Sports Emmys via Zoom, the Dan Patrick Show. And I've reached out. We couldn't have celebrities because of social distancing. I did reach out to Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight, and I wanted to know if he'd like to take part in it, which Kevin said he would, just to understand the magnitude of how big of a story this could be if the Dan Patrick Show won the Sports Emmy. Ryan Seacrest passed on it. And understandable. He's got other things, more important things to do. Yes, Eden.
I was just saying how much I really want to win.
I know you do.
I really do. I really, 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 really want to win. Because you know what it is, too? Like when you work at ESPN and all of your friends have 37 Emmys because they all work on SportsCenter, and they're like, oh, it's been a couple years since I picked one up. So it's nice to get another one. And you're like,
but there are a lot of guys who didn't really work on shows who got Emmys.
That's okay. I'd take that. I'd take that Emmy.
Okay. It's not going to change your life.
It might.
I don't. It'll change your mantle. That's it. It's not going to change your life.
Okay.
But yeah, I would like to win for you guys. I'd like for you guys to win because, you deserve it. But I don't think we're going to win. I know. I don't like feeling that way. I just don't think we're going to win. Who are we up against? Pardon the interruption.
Ugh.
Right? Who else is in there? MLB Tonight?
Ugh.
How did we lose to MLB Tonight?
Outside the Lines gets in there a lot.
Yeah, I know. But Bob Lee's not there anymore, so that can only help us. Is The Jump in there with Rachel Nichols?
Yeah.
Oh, God. But we do 3 hours every day. They do a little half-hour show, maybe an hour show. Although MLB Tonight does a few more. Yeah, Todd.
I think I asked you guys this once before, but better or worse to find out what the final numbers were about where you finished as far like second or last or in the middle of the pack?
But I'd be fine if I finished last in the category, but I was still nominated every year.
It's just an honor to be nominated.
It is. It is an. I would say that to I'd have to remind myself, so much so that my kids would say, "Hey, Dad, it's okay. It's just an honor to be nominated," because I'd always say that when I would lose. I'd come home late at night, and then my kids would be up in the morning. They go, "Did you win?" And I'd go, "No, but it's just an honor to be nominated." So then it became a punchline because I'd go to the sports Emmys, and then they would say, "Dad, it's just an honor to be nominated." But that's our big party tomorrow night, a viewing party where you get to view us lose the sports Emmy. This might be the first time that's ever happened. A live show where you get to watch losers. Yes, Eden.
Other than what people have been watching for the last 10 years.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if it's Chat Row who came up with it, but somebody tweeted, because this audience is extremely bright. We have a new submission for Todd. Todd did section row seat, that famous joke that fell flat many times. Some people suggested section row cheat with you.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Just a gift that keeps on giving.
Yep. Section row cheat.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Yep.
Now that's funny.
Section row.
So I'd be standing on
cheat.
stage with like a cheat sheet with my bad jokes that I'm kind of peeking at that I should have memorized.
Maybe you should have a cheat sheet on stage. That would have helped.
Actual jokes in it that make people laugh.
Teleprompter. A couple of phone calls, then we'll give you our best and worst of the weekend. John in Denver joins us, not to be confused with John Denver. Hi, John.
Hi, DP. Good morning to the guys. Best and worst of the weekend. Best, Justin Thomas on the 5th hole birdie dropping a huge F-bomb. He's like one of us. We've all been there.
Yeah.
And the worst, NHL released their playoff schedule, and the Avalanche, unfortunately, will not be seen by a lot of Colorado residents due to Comcast and Xfinity dispute talks with Altitude Sports Network.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, John. Yeah, you always get tied up in those local TV deals and the blackouts and those kind of things. So sorry to hear that. Let's go around the room what we learned. Or no, best and worst of the weekend. I'm all over the place today. Todd, best and worst of the weekend.
Best of the weekend, the game Saturday between the Nuggets and Jazz. Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell take over with Murray's Nuggets outlasting Mitchell's Jazz in double overtime, 134-132, one of those instant classics. It was great. Worst of the weekend, Ben Simmons.
I don't know if it's an instant classic.
That was a huge game, the way they were
Do you
trading
realize
punches like
that nobody responded to your text?
I did notice that. But just the same, if you happen to be watching, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray going back and forth, double overtime. It was fantastic.
Todd, if it could be breathless, if a text could be breathless, then you would have.
And I kept giving you guys updates, wondering, is my phone not working? Maybe I lost service. We had that whole hurricane thing.
No. Everybody's phone was working. We were just going, wait.
Minute 12 left, 46 seconds. They're going into double over. You see that shot by Mitchell? Anybody out there? Murray just hit. No, anybody? Murray again.
An instant classic. Okay, what else do you have?
The worst, Ben Simmons needing knee surgery, likely done for the season. I don't know what that does to a McLovin Sixers, if they're better without him, or that drastically changes their playoff stock.
Yeah. I think their coach is in jeopardy, but I would try to keep Simmons and Embiid together and try to figure it. I mean, these are two players that will probably end up being Hall of Famers. I would try to hold on to them and figure this out. You have to get better perimeter shooters. But I don't know. I try to keep them together. Yeah, McLevin.
All right, so I'll start with my worst. I'm blaming Major League Baseball. These 7-inning doubleheaders are ridiculous because the Phillies were just picking up momentum when they lost 8-0 in the second end of a doubleheader to the Braves and 5-2 in the first. If we had 9 innings, we would have won.
Of
those
course
games.
you would have.
And what Acuna hit 4 homers in a day. That's ridiculous. My best is a guy named Rodney Magruder hit a game winner for the Clippers over the Blazers. And I had to Google. I'm like, wait, who?
That's not a real player.
Yeah, Rodney Magruder. Apparently, he used to start for the Rockets,
Paulie,
too.
check on that.
I know he's kidding. He's kidding.
Come on.
And then, like, every day of the bubble, Austin Rivers put up a 41.
I know.
What the heck is that?
Did his dad ever put up 41 in a game? I don't think Doc ever did. But when I heard Austin Rivers putting up 41, I went, okay, McLovin may have something to his theory that everybody puts up big numbers in the bubble.
TJ Warren is pushing Michael Jordan for the best player of all time.
He is the Michael Jordan of the bubble. Yes, Paul.
Rodney Magruder, yeah, he's out of Kansas State. He was a Heat for the past 3 years.
No, he was in Sioux City between the Heat and the Clippers.
He definitely played for the Heat for like 70 games, a little Sioux City action.
Seton O'Connor, best and worst of the weekend.
Magruder is the best. Actually, my best, I watched this documentary called Speed Cubers. It's about competitive Rubik's Cubing. Holy it is mind-blowing. It's unreal. As someone who's never once in my whole life finished a Rubik's Cube, some of these dudes could do it in 4 seconds. That's crazy how fast their hands move. It's unbelievable. Blew my mind. And it's like really competitive.
Wait, 4 seconds they can do the whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah. They could do like they do these competitions, right? Where the clock will start as soon as he picks it up, as soon as he or she, the person picks it up. And then they'll just like their fingers fly like crazy. And then they just throw it down. Done. And I'm like, okay, 7 seconds, a new world record. Unbelievable. It's crazy.
Do you have a worst?
Yeah, my worst was the Ben Simmons injury, too.
Oh, okay.
That's just brutal.
Yes, Paul.
These Rubik's Cubes kids, can someone in the government ask them to put the little thing down and work on something that's important for a couple hours? Like maybe ask these guys to go to a tech school.
So what they say is that they actually memorize sort of algorithms within in patterns, and that there's just thousands of them, and just through all of these hours of practice, they get used to the patterns and like sort of rhythms of how these colors move, and then they can figure it out. Which is
I got other things to do.
If you could be the greatest Rubik's Cuber of all time.
Or me. I'm going to go me.
Same here.
I'm going to go me. Although, you know what I was watching over the weekend? And I got caught. So I was on my tablet, and I'm watching videos, and it was fly fishing, casting, to see how far you can cast a fly. And one guy, the record is 243 feet, I think. This guy is the world fly fishing, whatever. He's won it like 40 years. Like he's the Jordan, Tom Brady, Bill Russell.
Steve the Castmaster Johnson out of Missoula. Love his work.
Yeah.
Was it good? Good TV?
Well, there is something about being able to use a fly rod that it's like a metronome. There's a rhythm to it, and when people do it really well, there's something about it. And I've been fly fishing. I'm in no way a great fly fisherman or even a good one. I'm the accidental fly fisherman, and I'll accidentally catch a fish or two. But no, there's something about it. It was calming. Yes.
I'd love to go on a fly fishing trip. I think I've hit that age somehow.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man, that sounds great.
Because great locations.
Yeah.
And if you have a great guide and I did Fly Fishing the World with John Barrett. And we went up to British Columbia. It was as good a vacation. We had to have a seaplane. We stayed in this floating hotel.
Dude.
Owned by the CEO of Sony or whatever. He built this beautiful this fishing line.
It was a dump, huh?
Yeah. And then you're there. I mean, it was spectacular. The setting, the scenery, spectacular.
That sounds great.
Yeah. It was beautiful. Paulie, did you give your best?
Best of the weekend, Colin Morikawa. Right after his round yesterday, he's in the lead of the PGA, and he's sitting there with his girlfriend on like a stone bench in front of a fountain, and there's no one around, and he's waiting for Dustin Johnson to wrap it up. It was just the weirdest way to win a major. He's sitting all by himself, and they're playing on their phones, waiting for the other guy to wrap up. The other, I would say worst of the weekend, I'm not sure, weirdest, Bryson DeChambeau, he is a big, bloated, like he's very gym teacher looking. Dan, this is going to be, I don't think this is going to be good for him and his back long term. Has it ever been?
No, I remember when Tiger was swinging, people said, can his body hold up?
It's really entertaining and it making him a big name, but he's gigantic.
Yeah. But then you have guys who are 60 pounds less than him that hit it almost as far as he does. This Cameron Champ, he hits it as long as anybody.
So maybe the visual is making me think that he's doing more torque on his back.
Oh, I think just carrying that weight and swinging as hard as you possibly can. Like, I just think at one point a body part, like an arm's going to fall off. It'll go down the fairway. Yes,
Did you see there's a hole-in-one yesterday?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know how often that happens in a
major.
Certainly in a major, but that's pretty cool.
But no, there's no fans there to react. You just hear one guy going, "Oh!"
Yeah, he's like, "Yay, I did it."
All right, last call for phone calls. What we learned, what's in store tomorrow. Colin Morikawa will join us on the program tomorrow, I believe. We'll take a break. Back after this.
We're down here in Carlsbad, California, Callaway headquarters. This place is like paradise. There's a putting green outside. There's a driving range. But this will be really fun. Dan's going to go on with Harry Arnett with Callaway Live. We're going to be in the crowd. We're going to have a good time down here.
Tonight on Callaway Live, one of my idols.
Here's your headline, though, Harry. Fritzy has underwear on today.
Thank you very much.
All right.
So we just wrapped. Now we're headed over to the test center, get some golf balls. Stoked.
I want a drive that's going to impress me. Yeah, that's the most important thing.
300 in the air is all you need.
Yeah. I'll take it with a win.
There we go. I'm so worried about missing it altogether. I would just kind of chop at it and wouldn't go anywhere.
I'm watching the Danettes improve their swing. Either the clubs are great or the instructors are great. Somehow Fritzy is getting the ball airborne. That's the true test, because when I see these guys and where they were and where they are now, that says a whole lot about the clubs. We do want to thank the great folks at Callaway for putting up with us, their patience and expertise. It's why we love the relationship. The clubs are great, and they actually made the Danettes better. Go figure.
For 40 days and for 40 nights I was on his side. But who can stand with Jesus and a manhood, feelings and a plan? The candies are not my son. Woo-hoo! Congratulations to Austin and Illinois, who figured out today's scoreboard for Monday, August 10th. Numbers are 80 and 14. The clue for 80 is this bear wouldn't hibernate in upstate New York. This bear wouldn't hibernate in upstate New York. We're referring to, on this date in 1980, Jack Nicklaus. The Golden Bear wins his 5th and final PGA Championship at Oak Hill Country Club exactly 40 years ago today. That was Jack Nicklaus in 1980. Number 14, the clue is Lefty Hears the Roar, falls short by 1. Lefty Hears the Roar, falls short by 1. That would be on this date in 2014. Thus the number 14, Rory McIlroy wins his 2nd PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Course by 1 stroke over lefty Phil Mickelson. So there you go, the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus, 1980, 2014, Rory McIlroy, both PGA Championship related. Booyah.
Guys, this year, we go to the Super Bowl in style. Oh, no. I got you guys your own plane. Yeah, your own plane. See you in New York.
Come on, Nancy. I gotta go over. All right. I got you. Oh. Okay. Get in, Fritzy. Squeeze it in.
Oh, cramp.
Mr. Patrick, filet mignon medium rare, string beans, just the way you like it.
You boys hungry? Want some peanuts?
How about open that one up, El Capitan, then we'll be ready to go.
Thirsty? Y'all could split this.
I don't want to be disturbed.
Is there any kind of makeshift restroom or something back there? I think I got a situation.
You know what? I think I need a bigger plane.
Last call for phone calls. What we learn, what's in store tomorrow here. Dan Patrick Show. Colin Morikawa, PGA champ, will join us. Reggie Miller set to join us from the bubble as well. I laugh out loud when I read this, and I've read it a couple of times this morning. The Mets starting lineup on Sports New York, SNY, on Friday night, prior to the game of the Miami Marlins, was sponsored by a New York area party planning company called Send in the Clowns. So just imagine when, Howie Rose, the announcer, is going, and tonight's New York Mets starting lineup brought to you by Send in the Clowns. I don't know why. That makes me laugh every time. Send in the Clowns. Yes, indeed. And who's sponsoring the lineup? Oh, no, it's Send in the Clowns, a New York area party planning company. Clowns creep me out, by the way. I'm not a big Clowns fan. Never was.
Did you ever go to the circus as a child?
Yeah. Did
you cry, little Dan?
I don't know. I might have. I never trusted those clowns. Speaking of which, yes, McClellan.
Did you ever try and watch the movie It with the killer clown?
I watched for about 7 minutes, and I said, no, I'm done.
Yeah, that'll freak you out.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. I don't need to watch anymore.
You ever see the movie Poltergeist?
Yeah.
You remember there was a big clown scene where the doll came to life and pulled the kid under the bed, and they got into a big brawl in the room there.
Let's go. Let's see. A few more phone calls here. I don't know what to.
Nothing to say.
Well,
just sharing a clown.
No, I appreciate it.
It must have freaked you out, I guess was my point, when the clown came to life in Poltergeist.
But that's a toy clown in Poltergeist.
Which makes it even scarier.
These are real clowns.
Yeah, but that's even scarier. A toy comes to life and his facial expression changes.
Nathan in Alaska joins us. Hey, Nathan.
What's going on, Danny? How you doing?
Hi, bud.
Hey, it's actually Nathan. I don't blame Marvin. It's like Jason with an N. It's a little different. So I actually had a question for him. I want to switch it up instead of doing best and worst, if that's all right with you.
Okay, Nathan.
So the question I had would be, obviously you guys aren't going to lose tomorrow. Let's just say hypothetically, if you guys did lose. Last week you were talking about betting on the field. Would you take the reason why you guys lose? Would you say it's because of Fritzy, or would you take the field?
I don't want to put any blame on anybody if we don't win.
Can't believe you said that.
Fritzy or the field.
I mean, I will.
Wow.
How do we go from Tiger in the field in golf tournaments to Fritzy
I don't want to, but I will put blame. Yeah, Paul.
Make it more positive. Who would be least responsible for us if we won? You spin it positive.
Yeah, I don't even want to do that either. No. Look, it's just an honor to be nominated. But you can watch us lose tomorrow night if you watch on youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show at 8 Eastern-ish. That's when the red carpet ceremony, catered food, champagne is not to be touched until the announcement, because we're either drinking or we're pouring it on one another. We win or we lose. Let me see. What else do we have here? Oakley in South Dakota. By the way, was his name Nason?
I think it was Nason like Jason.
Oh, Marvin had Nathan on there. Okay. Oakley.
Hey, DP, 6'1", 195. Best and worst of the weekend for you. My wife gave birth to a baby boy, 7 pounds, 10 ounces, 20.5 inches.
And what's his name?
Well, that's the worst of the weekend. They're trying to kick us out of the hospital here in 10 minutes, and we still haven't named it. We've got it narrowed down to 2 choices, one being Track, T-R-A-K, and I'm lobbying for Rush, R-U-S-H.
Rush.
One of the input of some Emmy winners to tell me what direction we should go.
What's your last name?
Haynes, H-A-I-N-E-S.
Haynes. Rush Haynes. Guys want to offer a suggestion to Oakley for Haynes? Rush or Track? Track Haynes. You know what, Oak? I've been in the situation before where we didn't have a name for my daughter and we just threw a name on her and then we left the building. And then we eventually, we had to change her name 6 weeks later. So my daughter was, we thought she was going to be a boy and then we didn't have a girl's name. And so we threw Emily on her and then changed it to Georgia like 6 weeks later. Had to go down to the courthouse. So good luck with that. But, and congratulations on the baby. Yeah, they won't let you leave until you name the baby. And I said, my wife goes, we don't have any a girl's name. I said, just give her a name. Let's go. I would lean towards Rush Haynes. I'm going to go Rush Haynes there. Luke in Alabama. Hey, Luke.
Hey, DP.
Hey, bud.
Hey, I appreciate you taking my call, and I look forward to watching y'all win or someone else win. You don't lose. It's just someone else win.
Okay, thank you, Luke.
I have a best and a question. My best is Tyson's interview last week piqued my interest, so I watched Shark Week, and now I have a newfound respect for McLovin for standing on a beach watching a great white. I mean, it's so brave. It's really impressive. He is something else.
Thank you, Luke.
My question is, though, if you could have a cheating scandal with Todd where he rigged the Emmys, but you didn't find out about it for 25 years, like his school cheating, would you take that win?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I would do it for the kids. I'd do it for those guys. I mean, I'd keep the trophy. But Todd couldn't keep a secret for 25 years.
That would never happen.
But thank you, Luke. And McLovin, Shark Week. People are really recognizing your brand. It's on point here.
I watched Mike Tyson last night. He went down in a cage with sharks. He almost tapped out. He is a brave man. He looks so terrified. I'm never, ever doing that. Getting in a cage with sharks. Never.
And his fight just got postponed until...
Like late November or something.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. They told me late November. It could be 2021 or something. It's hard to put the boxing gloves on the fin of the shark when you have to fight him.
What did you learn today, Todd?
The Marlins added an Olympic speed skater from Sochi, infielder Eddie Alvarez getting out there.
McLovin.
It's just an honor to be nominated.
Yes, it is. Seton O'Connor Jr. III.
Honor to be nominated.
Yeah. Paul?
It's going to be a weird 24 hours for college football.
Yes, it is. Todd, what did I learn?
The Mets starting lineup Friday night, sponsored by a party planning company called Send in the Clowns.
I also learned it's section row cheat.
Okay.
What we learned brought to you by LegalZoom. We're all faced with new challenges these days. If you need legal help, count on LegalZoom. You can reach them online. Their network of independent attorneys provide advice when you need it. And since LegalZoom isn't a law firm, you don't have to leave your home. Visit LegalZoom.com today for more information. PGA champ Colin Morikawa tomorrow and Reggie Miller. Hope you'll join us as well here on the Dan Patrick Show.